Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Board of Health meeting, September 8th. It is now 6 p.m. Open meeting. We'd first all like to welcome the new Board of Health members, Ms. Paige Shugda and Ms. Jasmine Quinones.
Welcome.
Let's see, what is the roll call?
Nicole Duffy,
Here.
Anthony Postali,
Here.
Dan Grabowski,
Here.
Paige Zuzka.
Here.
Did I pronounce that
Shugda,
correctly?
that's fine.
Shugda. Jasmine Quinones.
Here.
Thank you.
Next, to accept the meeting minutes.
I read the minutes, I didn't see anything wrong with them, unless,
Nope, I didn't either. What was the date on that?
August 4th.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as is on the August 4th. No,
Okay.
Thank you.
And Paige abstained and Jasmine
I'll
abstained.
do a roll call, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Tony Postali,
yes.
Dan Grabowski,
Yes.
Nicole Duffy.
Yes,
Uh,
Paige Shugda.
Shugda.
Jasmine Quinones.
Jasmine, thank you. Quinones. Abstain. Motion passes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we're going to start off with the presentation by Irene Condon.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Welcome, Irene. We really appreciate you coming, by the way.
No problem. I just wanted to,
You just want to announce like where you're from and what.
yeah,
That'd be
we're
great,
gonna
thank
hand
you.
this out first, because, you know, we have a big agenda, so I just wanna.
Yes, thank you.
If we get stopped in the middle, it's, here,
Thank you so much.
let me just get one more.
Thank you.
Just wanna have it in order. It's a little, it goes a little different, it doesn't go across, that's why I was putting numbers on the side, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
Okay,
So we're gonna go like that.
thank you.
Um,
Oh, yeah, I see a little numbering. Yeah, yeah. You need more? I'm just trying to get that.
Okay. Hi, I'm Irene Condon. I am the Regional Recycling Coordinator, which is from Massachusetts, is the Municipal Assistance Coordinator, but I just like to tell everybody I'm really recycling. But I do more than recycling. It is under Mass DEP. We break out the entire region, the state, and there's 7 of us. I cover all of Central Mass, so I go from 495 all the way to the Quabbin, so I get 75 communities, which is a lot of fun. And I've actually been here for 22 years, so I've actually been in this room a few different times talking about various topics, and all of you guys have
That's
changed,
great.
except I think that you've been here a couple times, but you weren't here at the beginning. But so we're looking at, I changed it as Southbridge, looking at sustainable material management. That's really what we're discussing today, is what to do about trash and recycling. And I also, my title is not only for trash and recycling, but composting, reuse, and hazardous waste material. So I help communities on all of those aspects. I feel like I need to be in a spot that you guys can all see me. If I
You
can
can
move
put
it
it out
back,
here.
maybe that way
You
you
know,
can
I
see me
can move
better.
this chair and you can.
Just
go
so
right over there.
people
How's
can
that?
see.
Yep, absolutely.
And do tell me when, I know you have a break, I think you said it's 6:15.
Yeah, Tony
That's
will let
your-
us know.
that's
Thank
the
you.
time.
Appreciate that.
And so I'm here to help you, and that this is an always, any change gets people very excited. And the whole thing is that there's grants available. So really what I want to bring it up right away is the goal today is just to give you an overview of what is some options. And then the end goal possibly is that you just apply for a technical assistance grant, which is 80 hours of my time, free time that the state awards to just look in this in more depth. So that they're like forming a committee that would not just be the Board of Health or the Board of Town Council, it would be some of the residents, some of the finance department, some of the senior center. Different people would then join in a committee to go in depth, and I would be there to help in that process. So that's pretty much my goal of today, is to give you the overview, and then if you guys want to apply for that technical assistance grant, then we need the okay to just for you to move forward in that. Okay? Why now? The biggest thing is I've gotten very emails from everybody is we're preparing for when the Casella contract ends in 2024. And that has had two different aspects for use. For other communities, we know that prices go up. Every time you change contracts, prices go up. But for Southbridge, it's a unique situation because you've had the landfill. So you don't have the revenue from the landfill that you do. And I have not looked at your numbers recently, so I don't know what you're currently paying, because before you had a sweet deal because you had the landfill and you were having money in. And now when you go out to contract, you're gonna be paying trash and recycling collection, processing, and disposal. So those are costs that I don't think you've really had before, and then it changes. So we need to make sure that your new contract is, that you go out to bid and that it covers everything, so it's supportive of the town. But be prepared, it is not as a great deal that you had because you had a landfill. So the price that you have is probably not gonna be obtainable. I just want you to put that out there now, is that all prices will increase. And that just with the gas prices and the
Yeah.
world prices and everything like that. And know that recycling goes on to Wall Street, and it has direct correlation with oil prices. So markets are actually good right now for recyclables. So it goes in these up and down swings, and to be prepared for that. Staffing changes. I think you're asking me now to come now because we have changes in staff, but it's nice to know that maybe you're gonna be having a director soon. But it's still, there's a lot to discuss here. So I'm here to help.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, I think why now is you're looking for a program that could be affordable for your residents. You
Right.
don't wanna be pushing them as some communities do of like, okay, we're done, you're on your own and it's $600. I want people to be prepared. Charlton residents, some of them pay $400 to $600 because they're private subscription. Each resident is on their own. And we work so hard to say, don't go that way because of it's so expensive and you have no control over what's being collected. It's an individual contract versus a town contract.
Okay.
So you have more control, and you have a great program already in that you have 2 carts. So everything is nice and clean, you have already established program in place. So I think that's why we're talking about this today, yeah?
I just wanna, and Dave, I'm surprised you're not putting your hand up for this. The reason you're here really is because we did have for 2 years, we had a we had a trash committee to try to work on something. And what they brought back was the tax situation, you know, let's just do an override, let's just get the money and let's just pay the whole thing regardless.
Yeah.
So there were questions raised about why aren't we doing it independently and that type of thing. Dave is big on that, as were others. So I'm just bringing this up so that you don't think that they've already got a number in mind from one hauler for, you know, there is numbers in mind of the numbers that have been given to the community. So we're not quite at the 0 level.
Good.
We're at the one option level, which seems like not the only option, at least to me. I brought it up personally. So that's, and you're here now to hopefully do some of that guidance work that would have been nice maybe while they did so much hard work in investigation. I'm trying to see if there's another way to pay for it, or at least instead of an overall tax to all the residents.
Right, I'll go over the options too.
Right, so I'm just bringing that up so you have some idea that.
Yep, and I was
agreeing
in
this
discussion
room.
with Andy too, like I've come to this town a few different times, but I was not aware of a committee meeting
Right,
recently,
so committee
like in the
presented
past,
it.
during
Yeah,
COVID.
a committee presented that well, you know, they talked about things, they said, this is what we're gonna do, which raised some questions, and you're here to
Okay.
hopefully see.
Great,
if
and
there's
that's
a
what I
better-
wanted to know, if there was other reasons why, so you already had a committee together, so that was again another reason why I'm here today. And that there's a grant availability, so there are 2 different types of grants. One is the technical assistance grant, that just to get things going. Then if you choose to go to a pay-as-you-throw type of program, then we have grant funding that is a one-time grant, up to $30 per household, and then we have an ongoing grant, which pretty much for you is like almost $2,000 to $4,000 every year. So there is support for that. What is pay-as-you-throw? I just want to kind of get it out there. Solid waste programs where residents pay per unit for disposal of household trash. Residents are not charged directly for recyclables. there are variations on that people don't have to necessarily pay, and I'll get into that, but it's trying to get it that it's not completely on the tax base. But this creates a financial incentive. Like, I'm sure you guys have all seen Worcester. You might have gone through East Brookfield. If we go that way, we have a lot of drop-offs in the area, like South Sturbridge is. We have just up the road of Brookfield and North Brookfield and Warren. They're all pay-as-you-throw by bag. And then sometimes we were also referred as save money, reduce trash. And in that case, like you already have, is you have a unit of a container and people pay a flat rate for that. So that's a different type of, what's the definition? But why does it work? And I think this is a big thing. On a state level, we're losing, you just closed your landfill. I pretty much have all of Central Mass. I have Fitchburg left as landfill. Sturbridge has their own little landfill, but only their stuff can go in. Thankfully, the landfill in Fitchburg just got their permit to be open for another 10 years, but that's not that long of time. And we are already shipping waste to Ohio and South Carolina. So note that our trash is already moving because we are not sustainable in our own trash. On a state level, our goal is to reduce 30% of our trash, and we're working on various ways to do that. And this program, by far, is the best one. So we can do education, we can do all different types of doing organics out, we can talk about various ways of doing, which you guys have already done with bulky items. You're doing a lot of stuff, you've already gone to a 64-gallon cart. But this program reduces communities' trash 30 to 50%. It's just, it's a psychological thing. When the first time you pay per bag, you actually look into the trash. It could be 50 cents. It could be $5. It really doesn't matter. I mean, it goes kind of where your coffee is. So if your residents have good, cheaper coffee options, or if people in your community, like Shrewsbury, they pay a little more for their coffee, then you want the bag price to be a little more expensive. But they look inside and they're like, why am I throwing out clothes? All clothes, even if it's stained or ripped, if it's your old sneakers, if it's your shoes that have holes in them, can actually go into clothing bins. People are like, oh my goodness, but it has a stain or a rip. No, those companies actually separate. Good stuff goes here, this stuff gets recycled. And they just don't want it wet or oily. So no wet or oily stuff in the clothing bins, but we have them all over the place. That is 70 pounds per person is our textiles. But the second you look into your bin, your bag, you're like, oh, why am I throwing out all my coffee grinds and all my food scraps? Maybe I should figure out how we're eating, plan food better. It is just a psychological thing that you start looking into your trash and you realize, oh, my kids are throwing out all the bottles and cans in the trash. The bin's right next to it, but they haven't moved it over. When you start paying, then you start moving it over. So it's just, it is known, either countries, Ireland, Korea, they do the entire country in pay-as-you-throw. I think we're at, Massachusetts is at 1,500 150 communities, 155 communities are pay-as-you-throw communities. But statewide and nationally, I think we're at 3,000. I mean, it is just, it works because it is like an electric bill. You pay for what you use. And there are ways that we can go through that. So why pay-as-you-throw? It is the single most effective tool to reduce our waste and increase recycling, but it does more than that. People are like, oh, it should just correlate all of your trash I reduce should go into the recycling bin. It doesn't, because you change your behavior. And so you start giving away stuff. You're like, oh, there's a donation bin. I can put stuff in donation. Oh, there is a charity. Oh, I don't need to bring that home. If I'm gonna eat out, I'm gonna eat the food out. I'm not gonna bring back all the excess food, or I'll bring my own containers in. We're on a break, so you wanna stop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So we're just done.
You are great.
Great.
You can see right if you like.
I'm okay, I'm not joining the committee.
You'll be back.
That's why I gave you all the papers.
Okay, so let's see. And the
Yeah.
next up is public hearing, and just to make a note, it was brought to my attention that that it's not a well variance, but a septic variance that we'll be discussing, regarding, 864 North Woodstock Road.
Need a motion for that change? I'll make a motion to make the change from well to septic.
Okay.
Second it.
Thank you. Motion, give me 1 second.
Yep.
Second, I'm gonna do a quick roll call. Nicole Duffy,
Yes.
Tony Costali,
Yes.
Dan Grabowski,
Yes.
Jasmine Canones,
Yes.
Paige
Should go,
Shuka.
thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
I believe we have Green Hill Engineering and Doug Mercurio. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah,
The Regional Health Inspector regarding 864 North Woodstock Road and the variance.
how are ya?
Emily, you
Plan
wanna spread
right
over a
here.
little bit?
I-
You know,
Sure.
come over
I'm
here.
Mark Farrell, Green Hill Engineering. I'm the designer on the project.
Okay,
This is a property on North Woodstock Road. It doesn't have town sewer, it has septic. We're proposing to replace a cesspool with a compliant Title V system, and consists of a septic tank and a Presby soil absorption system. So basically, with this, the state allows you to take instead of having a 4-foot reduction, because of the level of treatment it gives you, allows you to reduce it down to 2 feet. And that becomes a local upgrade with the Board of Health, so that's
I got the
basically,
DEP paperwork I kind of handed out to everyone,
Great.
kind of explaining that a little bit, saying that with their Presby system that he's installed and designed for,
okay.
it's allowing the 2 feet reductions
But
to 4 feet.
I appreciate that explanation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the explanation. you know.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
he's gonna be able to explain a lot better than I can. I
Yeah.
printed out some paperwork while he's here,
All right.
you know.
So it's usually 4 feet, you're reducing it to 2
2
feet.
feet, and
With
they-
this system,
yeah.
it just needs us to approve the variance.
Yeah, it just needs a local, what they call a local upgrade to Title V, which is allowable for a repair, as long as there's no expansion of number of bedrooms, which there's not.
Okay.
Do you need another, I got a copy.
Sure.
You wanted a copy?
Yeah, it just kind of goes over the reduction on page 2, the 2 feet. So DEP already approved all this too, so even like, moving forward, if we come across other systems similar to this, I can always let the new director, if we get a new director in, we might not even have to go forward doing these variances in front of the board, just because DEP's already,
They've already.
yeah, they've already approved
approved
these, yeah. But this
Okay.
is still, still kind of new to me anyway. Just
Right,
the one
right,
that-
yeah, well,
You know.
it is to us too,
Yeah.
so, especially without Andy, right? All right. So how do we, so it's already got approval, you're just looking for the Board of Health,
Just
but
looking for
Yeah, just a
approval.
local, yeah, just a local board of.
You're just looking
yeah,
for
that's all.
approval.
Yeah, it's
That's
nothing
good.
crazy. There's nothing that would spark any like concern where there's like a variance where there's more concern is like, let's say there's a well within like 30 feet from like
Right,
a
right, the
septic
water.
system or something, where instead of like 100 or 50 feet.
But there's nothing
This
in
is,
there.
no, this is just a separation of 2 feet, it's not gonna make no difference, plus the system is designed for it, and the state's already said it's okay to use it, but for some reason it's still in the language saying, hey, get a
we
variance.
still gotta get a,
Yeah,
okay.
so,
Just an okay then.
yeah, but yeah, it's definitely, I agree with everything, he designed out for, everything makes sense, and, the perk test is what, right, that's what, he designed it because of the perk test was so fast for the area. I forget
No,
what
it was
yeah.
just that if we didn't, we'd have to put a pump in and then put a raised mound in their
Oh, yeah, mound
backyard.
system,
And
yeah.
most people don't like a raised system in their backyard.
Well, they can't afford the,
Yeah.
2 feet of extra loom that's gonna be
Yeah.
put into the.
It's more
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
I really Rich, do you guys have any?
Emily, do you have
I
any?
don't know
No,
anything
no.
about septic.
That's nothing in your.
Sorry.
I know that it's been approved, but is there any type of testing or just to make sure, no, it's just because it's a septic system and it's just, we're talking about 2 feet with this new system that you're implementing, there really isn't any issues.
No issues, no, and he's put into the design to telling, get a yearly inspection, make sure the homeowner yearly inspected anyways, make sure there's no failures or anything like
Okay.
that. And there's nothing on the plans that would make me concerned where there's like a reservoir or something really close by or anything like that. There's nothing like that. As far as
So
any
there's no
concerns.
waterways that
No,
are on
no.
there?
Right.
It's a vast improvement over what's there. They have a cesspool there now.
Yeah.
And this will be a more compliant, will be a compliant Title V system, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, great.
I'm good.
You're good?
Makes sense.
Dan,
Yeah, really
are you
good.
good? Okay. Anybody wanna make a motion?
I make a motion to accept
The variance.
the variance.
Anybody second?
Yeah.
Who
Okay.
seconded?
Dave.
Paige,
Thank you. Roll call, Nicole Duffy,
yes.
Anthony Postoli,
Yes.
Dan Grabowski,
Yes.
Jasmine Kanonis,
Yeah.
Paige Shipka.
Yes.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
get that right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Nope, we're all set. Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thanks
You
for coming.
guys have a good evening.
Thank you for coming. Yeah. So I had stuff to come to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
That's why I had asked.
you know, are we really in a position?
We're gonna get.
All we can do is ask a couple of questions, but at the end of the day,
That's why
I've
it's
always
true.
relied on.
That's why I said we get Doug over here to ask, so.
Am I back on?
Yes, we're doing
Let me find my paper.
Now, is that good?
Yeah, you got
Actually, you
6:30 is the,
6:30.
Okay, well, back on. I knew this was gonna be an in-on thing kind of thing.
Thank you.
So, to just go back, Tazy Throw works, and it is, it fits in, it's like a utility bill, and I think that's what the thing that we wanna get to is, if you told everybody your electric's free, then everybody would put everything on all the time, why shut it off? But if you're paying for your usage, then you're like, oh, then let me shut off the light when I'm out of the room. Oh, I don't need to keep everything on and everything plugged in all the time. So that is exactly how it works. The environmental benefit is just unbelievable. So when we talk about a lot of communities are green communities, which I think you guys are, you do a lot with energy. Climate change by far, this is, everybody goes with the big pie and you talk about energy and where your carbon monoxide, CO2 is coming from for your cars. But what you purchase and what we buy and what we throw out is actually the biggest pie. All of the trucks that are moving around are moving our stuff around. And all of our stuff that comes from other countries, every time, and this is why I got into recycling, is because I did a research paper on aluminum cans, and for all of South America to go through all the ore mining and all of the water issues and all the chemical issues, and to go through and melt it down and get it here to put it into our can, and we drink it and throw it out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and we gotta go all the way back there and do the process over again. Literally, we just go to the next town, put it in a thing, we melt it quick, it's back on the shelves within like 2 weeks.
No kidding.
So the energy and the usage, it's just amazing. Not all recycled products are perfect like that. We used to have glass here in Massachusetts that also went in Milford. After you put it in the recycling bin, 2 weeks it would be back on shelves. That company, after decades and decades of being here in New England, shut down right before COVID. So now we're doing something different with glass, but it is still better than landfilling it or incinerating it. So if this does work, more reuse opportunities. And so now this goes to the next question, is funding options. So this is where everybody has the question, well, what could we do? So there are just pretty much 3 options. It can be, and then the combination. You put everything on taxes. And the other thing is, it's a flat fee that communities just do. I took it off the taxes and I put it on the flat fee. Or you have the pay-as-you-throw bag representation. So I do have some communities, the town of Ashby, everybody pays $5 a bag, and that's it. There's actually no other cost for the town, but it's a small thing and they do that. I have others that it's all in the tax base, but I tell you, the people that have it all in the tax base are working hard to get it off the tax base. So they're always trying to say, can we get it off? And then I have communities that have gone to like, okay, we're taking it off the tax base, so either they like, which I do not recommend, is in Millville had a vote and they took their trash off. So their residents had it in their tax base and now are each paying $500 a household. So they didn't really get it, they just moved it from the residents paying the town to pay the bill for them just paying the bill. So they still have a flat fee program, it's just now double than what they would have done if it was in the tax base. Or the town of Bellingham, which is in the tax, it's not in the tax, it's a flat fee, but the town operates the flat fee, and it includes everything. But it's very high, you know, close to $400 per household to pay that. There's a combination. You can have that the operation, the flat that covers the staff, the administration is covered by the taxes. The flat fee covers collection. And then you can have residents pay per bag. So there are multiple options, and we can discuss that further with looking through the numbers. And what I've done with different communities is just write down of like what happens in this scenario, what happens in this scenario, and you kind of get a better picture of like how can the breakup can be. Sometimes having a flat fee collection is you have to have the administration of it. I love how the town of Lunenburg does it. It's $62. It might have gone up to 70, but it's in the tax base. They just was able to keep it in the tax base, so then they don't have to see if anybody is paying. And, you know, do they have to have like, oh, you missed your month, oh, you're moving, you're in, you're out, but changing, and just the administration of it, they don't worry about that. If you don't have a bag out, we don't collect it. So if you choose not to, we want everybody to be on the program, and that's how it goes. Everybody, and you already have bins, so that's just, it makes it, we can work with a combination of stuff that it's not all or nothing, you know. The different options, here's the pictures, it goes into things. There's the pay-as-you-throw bags, like in Worcester, people put stickers on it, so you could have like a flat fee kind of sticker saying, hey, this bin is paid for. They don't want to pay per bag. They just want to pay the bin straight out.
Right.
And so that's either they pay per sticker or you can have the overflow bag. A container, you already have 64-gallon carts out there. You could have a 35-gallon cart. You could have a 96-gallon cart, and you can have a hybrid that which Upton does. The town of Upton has, everybody has a 96-gallon trash bin, and then they put their trash bags in the bin. So they pay for the bag, but it's in the bin, and so when the hauler comes through, they see on the side that it just comes out and they have the bags and they can see them. And if they notice that's one, they get a check, and then they get a bill for that household. Hey, you put it in trash, therefore you got that fine. So the hauler kind of does it. So those are the kind of the options that are available. Curbside programs in Massachusetts, we have 46 municipalities that are curbside, 96 that are drop-offs, and then there are combinations. There are 13 communities that have both drop-off and curbside. It was something that we talked about with past Board of Health directors, was that, hey, at some point you'd love to have the transfer station back. You know, to have a drop-off for when people are moving in and out.
Sure.
You know, because they got a lot of boxes, they have a lot more recyclables, hey, and they're moving out, they gotta have all this equipment, you don't want it on the side of the road and just to be picked up, hey, fill it all up, you got your truck, take all your recyclables things, drop it off at the recycling center, then come back, fill up all your stuff and go, you know? That you could work something out to have the drop-off open, we can give you grant money also to start a drop-off, but you always want to start off, our goal right now is most of the residents to have curbside. You're not going to switch the whole town over to drop off. It would be like a support system for bulky items, for reuse items, for hard to manage items, and extra trash.
Sure.
And so those kinds of things. Statistics, like I said, 155 communities. the trash goes down 25 to 50%. I kind of even see it a little higher for Central Mass. So that's why I said 30 to 50. Oh, I put your numbers in here. So in 2021, your Southbridge residents per household that are participating in the program, not everybody is in the town program. If they have a dumpster, they are not on the town program. But the people that do use the town program, you know your trash number, we know how many households. So that's 1,500 pounds per household per year is thrown out. So very close to a ton. You know, 500, right? So I want you to know for East Brookfield, Lunenburg, Maynard, and the city of Worcester, they were all at or under 1,000 pounds per household. So you're still 500 pounds more than they are. And, you know, it's going per household, so we're talking apples to apples, even though, you know, Lunenburg, East Brookfield is tiny and the city of Worcester is big. We're bringing it down to a thing. And the town of Upton is 1,100 pounds. So I just wanted you to know, they have the cart with the pay-as-you-throw bags inside.
Thank you.
I think I have to stop.
Yeah, we're gonna
Sorry.
save the questions for later.
Well, one quick one about that.
No, we're gonna save the questions for now. We're under time constraints, I'm sorry. We've got a hearing scheduled, so I'm sorry. Richard, do you want me to announce it? Public hearing for Thomas Variety,
6:30 public hearing.
6:30 public hearing. Hi, how are you?
You can go right on. Nick, is it?
Regardless.
You can stand right over
You can
here.
stay right over here. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good.
This is Mr. from Thomas's Variety, he's the owner. Ricardo's from the Leominster Tobacco Board of Health.
Has everybody received copies of this?
Yes,
Okay, perfect. You gotta forgive me, I'm
it's okay.
third on the totem pole here that was asked to fill in last minute, so if I don't
I
know any
understand,
answers. Yeah.
It's okay.
So my understanding is the store is looking to appeal. Are you looking for me to start, or how do you wanna?
Well, Rick, do you wanna give us a background of, so he's in violation of,
Correct. What do I want to say?
flavored tobacco, sales?
It's a retail flavor violation. And just let me know if I'm overstepping here.
If you just wanna let us know the violation, and we'll.
Sure,
jump in if
August
need be.
3rd, Thomas Variety and Convenience. Was found to be selling Game Blue Minis in their store. In addition to Acid Blondie and Cuba Cuba, which there's still some debate out there if those particular products are flavored or not.
Okay,
But the Blue Game Mini and the Game Palma are absolutely flavored. There was no manufacturer letter in store, which is kind of, all stores, all retailers are required to have manufacturer letters in-house to show that any product, even Marlboro Reds, are not flavored.
okay.
No. Oh, sure.
Oh, can I have one as well? Sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you
absolutely.
were getting you one.
Anybody else need one?
Paige, do you have one? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You did, I'm
You
looking
did,
at it,
no,
I'm
you
looking
did,
at it right now.
you did.
Sorry.
Just a minute.
So this particular violation carries with it a $1,000 fine and a 3-day permit suspension. Now, a little history, I guess, relative to this particular location is that on March 27th, a compliance check was conducted, and at that time, there were multiple products that were located in the store. White Owl Vanilla, Dutch Master Gold Fusion, Dutch Master Blue Dream Fusion, Game Blue, Backward Stout, Black and Mild Jazz. And I'll get to why, just follow me down this rabbit hole for a second. Then moving forward, May 7th, another re-inspection was performed on the March 27th violation, and again, Flavor, the Blue Game Minis were located in the store. Now, the reason these two particular violations were not followed up on is that, Andy Pelletier, the former director of the department, wanted the individuals who work for tobacco control to come into the city and actually be sworn in as agents of the Board of Health. That was a loophole that, wasn't done by us, and he wanted everything to be done
Correct, yeah.
according to protocol,
Right.
which we did. So that's the reason why those first two violations weren't followed up on. The agents came in, took the oath, were sworn in, and as of this August 3rd violation, this is why this one is being followed up and the first two weren't.
Okay,
So
so August 3rd is really the follow-up to both of those.
it's a follow-up to both of those, but it's the first one that's actually, I guess, kind of being enforced, if you will.
Got it.
Yep.
I just have a quick question too, actually. March 27th, when the initial inspection was conducted,
Mhm.
were there the blue game minis found in that inspection as well, or is the May 7th the only time that was found?
Blue game was found, it doesn't specify if they were minis or not. It's not to say they were there or they weren't there, it could have been just that whoever the inspector was noticed them, or they may not have been in the store.
You're not sure? Okay.
Not sure.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Are we able to ask questions now? Questions? So I see that there's a letter that's supposed to follow when you have to confirm these are non-flavored tobaccos. You were talking about a letter, and I'm looking at it right now on the,
Manufacturer letter.
yes.
Yes.
Now, is that something that every store owner who sells tobacco knows of?
Yep.
And they should have that? And so on March 27th, I'm sure this was information that was communicated, as well as maybe May 7th?
Absolutely. Prior to the March 27th, the inspectors had gone out and done retail education. And we had done retail education through mailings, we had done retail education through store visits, having store staff sign that we were there. And what that retail education encompassed was informing every retailer that moving forward, manufacturer letters are required for all retailers who sell tobacco. And what that is it's a requirement per the state, number one, but it's also too that shows Marlboro Red is not a flavored product. Game Cigar, whatever version, is not a flavored product. So it's a requirement A, but it's also kind of a form of insurance for the retailer, saying, hey, here's the retailer, the manufacturer letter rather, this particular product is not flavored.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Is that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so first time when they came down to the inspecting my store, the items they required to be thrown away, I returned everything, I returned it. Second times they came down, they said the Game Mini you can't sell it. But the Game Mini, I have the restricted item from the distributor. Distributor, I have like a contract with the company. They usually sell on the 4 in bundles. I have the proof over here. They sent me on a May 4th. They sent like a regular black, sweet, blue, everything. So we have to be sold by the distributors because the distributor had the contract.
So it all came in
It
under
all
one?
came in by the distributor.
deli-
So when the distributor sent us, we just we sell it, We have to be put up in a display. And the things he just talked about, the vanilla things, I had the same thing, the vanilla I get from the distributor too. I have the invoice for that too if you wanted to see it.
Yep.
don't sell for intention. We don't sell for the intention. We don't meant to. We do the business in last 20 years in the Southbridge, and whatever they tell us to do it, exactly we do it. Whatever we get from the distributor. And the things you're talking about, the game, the blue, there was not on in itself. They fell down behind the sunglass itself, and as you find it and see the pictures over there. We didn't meant to sell that item either. You can come down in my store right now, you can check it anytime you want to. We never had any problem. Until if I have the invoice and we get it from the distributor, we put that stuff in itself.
Yeah.
That's it I want to be said.
So you're saying the item in question
we get from the
was shipped from the distributor
Yeah.
and it happened to fall behind your counter?
No,
or-
that was like old items. That's when there was restricted. There was another one. But the game
Yeah.
minis and everything, I get from the everything was in a shelf for the sale. They was get from the distributor, and that's the wireless, and they give it to us.
Thank you. Pass that on. I'll pass that on.
So if I
And
can,
the acid things that he told me about the manufacturer later, we didn't even know about it. We never get any letter from the Lemonster.
Yeah.
We need that letter for that. The lady came down on August 3rd. We requested to our distributor to send me the letter. Soon we can get the letter. We just gonna be. She already gave me her phone numbers and fax numbers. Soon we get the letter, I gonna be sending her down.
So you've requested or
I've requested to the manufacturer.
you are in the process of requesting? Do you
Yes.
have any?
Yeah, because she just last minute she told me you need that paper. So we didn't even know about it, and she just verbally she told me. She didn't give me any paper or anything.
So you don't have anything to,
No, we requested for the acid cigar,
okay.
But there's
And so I just wanna, the August 3rd inspection, it was found to be what product, what flavor product that?
the August 3rd,
That was the follow-up, I think.
that was the follow-up to the follow-up.
Game Mini
Oh.
Blue
Yep.
The mini
The Blue
blues?
Minis one, May 7th.
Yeah, but
What?
where'd you locate it?
in a cell. The Game Mini Blue was on the shelf because they're distributed by the distributor, so we're selling it.
Oh, on the shelf.
Yeah.
If it's illegal, why is it on the shelf?
There was on the shelf, yeah, there was a legal, because we just got the receipt from the distributor. So we didn't know about that,
Oh, you didn't know it was illegal?
Yeah, there was, if the distributor selling is, that means that's illegal,
Well,
So,
not really, no.
right, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so because, why the distributor send us? Because the distributor sends the whole in Massachusetts.
Because they're trying to make money, I guess they're trying to sell their product.
And-
They never send any another, they knows the better because they are the biggest company in the whole Massachusetts.
So I guess at the end of the day, though, it's your responsibility, I guess. That's the way I
Yeah,
look at
but
it.
they didn't say in the paper you can sell the Game Mini Blue.
Well, I guess this is kind of, for me, the point here is that if there's education out there and if you're selling tobacco, then it should be known that you
Yeah,
require.
but in this paper, they don't say that you can sell the Game Mini Blue.
Well, but you should still have something to say, the Blue
No,
Blue Minis.
I called the company.
You did now, and I get that, but I'm just saying, for you to say, to Dan's point, what are they doing on the shelf? Well, they shipped them to me.
Yeah,
It doesn't bode well, because at the end of the day, you're responsible to make sure you have the paperwork to show what you're selling is in compliance. So that's what I guess I'm saying, but I'm still willing to hear the track record and have Ritz tell us about the previous hits, and you've already told us what you're starting to do.
yeah.
But I just wanted to add that right there.
Yeah, but what I meant to do it, if the distributor sends us, that means the distributor's responsibility too, because the distributor knows better.
I got a question. Well, if it's on the shelf, right, say I come in and I see that on the shelf and I smoke that, I'm gonna buy it. So are you gonna sell it? You're
Yeah.
gonna sell it. Well,
Right.
then that just makes it right there illegal.
So,
If you're not supposed to sell it, am I correct?
well, yes, if you're not supposed to sell it and you're selling it,
And
absolutely.
he just said he would sell it because it's there.
Because of a lack of knowledge, and
Right.
that's
Yeah,
the whole
right,
thing
right,
that
yes.
I'm kicking at right now, saying,
Yeah.
That's it.
again, at the end of the day,
Yeah,
it's
if I
your
knew that
responsibility.
if there was
Right.
illegal, I'd have
There you
clearly
go.
thrown them away, or
There
I
you go.
return to the
Okay.
distributor,
All right.
The flavor and menthol ban has been in effect for quite some time.
Yeah.
Tobacco Control Alliance has been very diligent about providing education because we operate on compliance. We don't, receive any of the fines. We want stores to have the information so that they can move forward, so that they can do the correct thing and ultimately not get fined. With that being said, the ultimate onus falls on the retailer. Like the gentleman here said, ideally in a perfect world, these distributors would not be distributing flavor and or menthol product to the retailers in Massachusetts. However, some of them do. It's a very fluid industry. There's a lot of changes constantly. You might get a product that was okay today, it wasn't tomorrow. However, you know, as evidenced or as documented by the evidence here, there were 3 inspections, March, May, and August. All 3 times that tobacco agents went out, there was flavor present in the store.
Yeah, but that's what I meant. Whatever we getting from the distributor, we're putting in a sell. We didn't meant to be selling illegally by purposely, you know.
I understand that, but unfortunately, the onus falls on the retailer, which is,
So how
again,
we know that this new items that
Which is-
came out, there was
which is
illegal in
again,
Massachusetts?
which is again why the retailer is required to have manufacturer
But that time
letters
they came down-
in-house for every tobacco product that is sold. There were no manufacturer's letter, my understanding is that there are no manufacturer letters in the store at all for any tobacco products.
So we supposed to be know that every single items that came out on a cigar, we supposed to be knows that it's legal in Massachusetts or not.
Yes, because again, the education outreach that tobacco control has done to all the retailers in this program, has been substantial.
And I would imagine that's information you can get from the distributor, and they should be able to, if they're not able to answer the questions,
So
then they
that's
can
what
show
I
you.
meant, the distributor sending us. You
But
know.
they're not necessarily, hey, me as a distributor,
Yeah.
I don't care what I'm selling you, and it's up to you to keep track of what you're selling in your store.
Yeah.
That's really the end of the story.
And one more thing, you know, like some items we don't even sell it in one day. The items sitting down sometimes like a month, you know. So this month we getting it, and they probably gonna be legal in this month. Second month is not legal.
Yeah.
So we have to be how we gonna be keep tracking it. This item is legal in this month, and next month is not
It's
legal.
continuous
But,
education.
but right, don't you keep an inventory of what you have and then
Yes.
what you're getting, and
Yeah,
if there's
what we
something
selling,
new, and what would be your advice to?
Well, it's
And
like-
especially the business is really slow right now, so last time we don't even
It
keep
comes
track
back to
of.
inventory. It's no different than if you sell prepackaged deli meats. You go through to make sure that the date of expiration hasn't gone by. If it has, you toss. If you get new products in, you have to ensure that you have a manufacturer letter for any new products that come in. The diligence, the onus falls on the retailers, fortunately or not. This is the edict that the state has laid out, and in this particular instance, it wasn't followed.
And there's one more thing I want to tell you that the business are really slow right now. For $1 item, I can't afford to pay $1,000.
One more bit of information, which I'm not sure if the board is aware of or not, is that the board doesn't have any flexibility to kind of curtail the $1,000 3-day. You can either, essentially say that the event happened and this is the fine, or that there was an issue with the procedure and or the event didn't happen. But you can't go to a 1-day, $2 million fine, unfortunately. I just want to let.
So it either happened or it didn't happen?
It either happened with the fine and the suspension, or the board finds that there was an issue with the procedure, that this particular incident didn't happen.
Okay.
And that's not the case on this one as far as procedurally goes. The procedure seems to stop with the
That's-
retailer.
That's ultimately for the board to determine, on this. I'm just here presenting the information and.
Is there any information for the actual manufacturer? Like, do they, is there any, education that the manufacturers have to follow, or any codes, or anything of that nature?
No, I mean, in states that have passed a menthol flavor ban, the manufacturers are aware, I can tell you, at least in Massachusetts, that retailers are reaching out saying, we need a list of, these products that are not flavor and or menthol, and typically a manufacturer doesn't produce just Marlboro, they produce a sheet of products, so they send that information out to the retailers, so they are aware of that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but if, depending on the merchant, these could be going to smokehouses where they don't follow it, if they smoke it on the premises, they really don't need to produce, is that, I thought I saw.
It
doing
could
some
be, there
research.
may be a whole different set of rules for, hookah shops, tobacco shops, to be honest with you, I'm not that
Okay.
familiar with that
Alright.
particular line of
So you're the ones who conducted all 3 visits?
tobacco control, yes.
Tobacco control?
Yeah.
So It's only we say it happened or we say it did, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's it.
Can I ask you a question? Or do you have the manufacturer letters now currently at all of your Thomas's
So
stores?
we already requested because we didn't know about it. And the lady came down Wednesday, August 3rd, and she asked for it. So we emailed to the lady and the distributor. The distributor is going to be mailed to the acid company.
So
and
are they there now?
No.
So-
They're gonna be.
He's making the calls now.
Remind again.
Transfer.
We're gonna be remind again. They're gonna send us the later.
Okay.
They said this is legal to the salad. The acid, I believe so. And but you need the later for it, right?
I'm sorry, what's
The
that?
acid cigar. The acid.
Oh, the acid blondie, again, the acid blondie and the Cuba were kind of questionable items.
High questionable item, so you need the
Yeah.
later for it.
I understand that, but the letters, the manufacturer letter, do you have those right now at all of your?
No,
For the soaking
you have to
and-
request
For
for
all
it.
the other-
You have to request for it.
But you have not done that?
Yeah, we done for it. We emailed to the
But a long time
manufacturer.
ago, but in,
Yeah, but they take a while to get from the
Okay.
acid company.
Thank
You got to call to that.
So what's this letter actually state
They take the month to get the later.
that he's talking about?
It's just a listing, showing, again, the manufacturers typically don't have one or two products, they have multiple products, and it'll be, typically, it's just a sheet with the products that state these products are non-flavored.
So how's that gonna help this case?
not-
I know, I have to get him after the fact, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
it means being compliance, at least in that area.
And if there's a high turnaround of things that change though, too, you know, like the one day, this is, you go one day,
Right.
something that,
Well,
is it a
questionable
private
is
sector,
anyway.
is it this, is it that, you know, so, I mean, I think that, you know, education is key on a lot of
Exactly.
factors for sure, you know, but I think there, are, you know, a lot of moving factors.
but it wasn't in this case.
Right, exactly, and it's
That's
just
the
like,
thing, that's what I mean, if it's after the fact.
Can I
If
ask?
I get caught, I can always say, well, listen, I can get this too.
right,
But it is a requirement moving forward.
Yeah.
So
Tony.
after the first visit and maybe even the second visit, it sounds to me as like you were informed to what violations your shop was dealing with.
Yeah.
So why at that point?
The first visit when they came down, whatever the items they took the pictures, we throw away every single item.
Okay,
That
but-
item they didn't find in my store.
But at that point, you had to understand why you were throwing them away.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes, so
Okay.
definitely I understand. They give me the later on December 1st.
Second time,
Second time we get from the manufacturer. So
manufacturer.
okay, but they said the manufacturer said there was illegal, so they sent us down. So we put them up on the shelf. So that's what
your
I mean.
defense is kind of,
Yeah.
hey, because the manufacturer was sending it to us,
Yeah, so
they're ultimately responsible, which
yeah.
now
so they
you
already make the
understand.
money out of me.
So do you
if I
understand-
get the penalty, they should get the penalty.
Well, do you understand, do you understand why that's not the case now and
Yeah,
ultimately
I
it's
understand.
your?
That's why I did
Alright,
put that
okay.
point right now.
So I guess my big thing right now is just so this is the third time. You know, one time I can understand, two times,
No, the second
Okay.
times when they came down, they asked me for the game Mini Blue, where you get it? They said they asked me, and I said I get from the manufacturer, and I saw the lady that invoice. That's all about.
So,
she-
but that- so
That's
that
the only
was-
things I saw her.
still in, but,
And she saw the invoice and she walked away. She didn't ask me any question or anything on the second time. The lady when she came down, where you get the game Mini Blue, and I saw her the invoice I get from the manufacturer from the Corma, and that's it. She gave me. She didn't give me any warning or anything. I didn't receive any letter from the lemon store or anything.
but they were in there the second time.
Yeah,
You
and they
know
asked me-
and you know they were in there and they were asking you,
The question, but they didn't give me any warnings or anything, and I saw them the invoice for it.
so I guess my question to you is, why after the first time, and maybe even the second time, did you not think about contacting the manufacturer, or,
No, I did after that.
no, I think you just said you just did after the most recent.
No, I did on it after that. I said the game Mini Blue is illegal. They said yes.
The second time around, they said they
Yeah.
were,
I think there's a little miscommunication relative to words. I think he contacted the distributor, and the distributor probably told him
Yes.
that the product was legal.
Yes.
But that is not the manufacturer letter, which is the requirement.
You should have that.
That's why I had asked if they found any mini blues and he couldn't find them on there. That's why I asked about that.
That's why education is so, that's why, you know,
It's
there's so
huge.
many different
Right,
variables, you know.
right, right, and it's a changing
It's
environment, so-
And that's the only point was facing, we are on only the one item, you know?
right.
That's the only one item we had it on the shelf.
There's a lot on
And
there,
there's,
so.
there's no latitude we can take as a board, it's either or.
Yeah.
And if the board decides, whatever the decision is, if they decide there was, procedurally, we could see some errors in this, so it's
Mhm.
gonna, does that still stay on the record, as far as the potential of the next one that comes in, if there is ever another one, which I don't think there will be,
Oh, my
right?
goodness,
Right.
yeah.
So my understanding, and please don't quote me on this because I'm not all that familiar procedurally, but my understanding is that if the board determines that there was a defect in the procedure and determines to err on the side of the retailer, there would still be a paper trail of this. But if said store violates again, for another flavor violation, I believe, and again, don't quote me on this, that it would be step one, that it would be
As though it was the first time,
First time,
as of
yeah.
the second time where
Right.
the fee gets a
similar
little
to,
incre-
yeah,
okay.
to where there were two here, but they weren't followed through because of Andy wanting, that particular, swearing in, of individuals to act as agents of the Board of Health. So those two, there's a paper trail, but this, according to the hearing today, is the first step
Okay.
of that three-step
Okay,
violation process.
because of the process,
Yeah.
of the
Right, right.
yeah, okay.
Right. I think this is worth more discussion, to be honest with you.
I know, do we,
No, actually, could you please wait for the citizens forum, please? Thank you.
The citizens forum will be after this event, so what I have to say wouldn't be necessary to be said anymore. I used to be a retailer, and there's something being said that this gentleman isn't articulating it, and I feel real badly about it.
Oh, no, and I understand, it's just we're kind of time bound at this point, and so if we can
Fair,
save for later,
okay.
absolutely, absolutely. It's not a matter of I don't wanna hear it.
Is this not a public hearing? Is this a public hearing?
Yeah, we're gonna wait till, at the end of the citizens forum for any further comments. We're just gonna listen at this point and, decide at this point. I think it's worth more discussion at this point, I think.
if, right, now, we have, I think it was, what is it, 30 days to act on this? Ritz, do you know?
No, I'm reading it right now.
Yeah, let's see.
Here's that.
Yeah, the letter here doesn't state what the board is bound to.
I'll specify. So, I don't know what more information as far as whether or not he's in violation and how the board wants to react. Because we know, it doesn't sound like it was an intentional. What I struggle with is 1 time, 2 times, 3 times.
Well, that's generally the rule, yeah.
I agree, sorry, excuse me.
No, no, go ahead.
I agree with what you said. I mean, if I did something wrong and this is what, you had all that time to look into this. This is where the education starts, by being aware of something. Someone made you aware of something that was wrong. You're selling something that's not any good, so you would wanna go out and get a list.
Right.
They're not gonna give you the list. They distribute across the country. Some states are legal. They don't care if it's, and plus they have smoke shops. So in other words, you either brush it to the side or look into it. You made a good point. This is not just once, it's 3 times. I know it wasn't done on purpose, but still.
Yeah, but you're, so does
So these people have a job, so if they're doing their job and they're saying, well, they didn't mean it, so why are these people even doing their job? You know what I mean?
and so is that a 3-day penalty of all tobacco sales, or is it,
Yeah, it does state,
yeah, it says,
in the letter. Exactly what the penalty entails.
3 consecutive business days beginning Friday, September 16th through Sunday, September 18th,
And a fine of $1,000.
and a fine of $1,000.
all tobacco, right?
Yep, so for the 3-day, tobacco products don't need to be removed from the premises, they can stay on site, but they need to, at a minimum, be covered. Typically, the items are behind the front counter.
One more question. It was said in here somewhere it was sold to a minor, is that true? I mean, did I read it correctly somewhere?
No, I thought these were all
I thought that there was a box I was scratched up.
In the last 20 years, we didn't sell any to the minors.
These are all flavor violations.
So, all right, so,
These
yeah,
were-
the 3-day suspension, that's mandatory with the first time?
Yeah.
Is that what
It is in
happened
the
to the
fine.
New Delhi one too?
For the tobacco products. It's just for it's a 3-day suspension for the tobacco products, correct?
Yes.
And-
Oh, for the tobacco product?
Tobacco,
Okay,
all
I-
tobacco.
That makes me feel better,
Yeah.
instead of shutting the business
Yeah,
down.
right.
Because you lose thousands of dollars for that.
Can I ask you a question, Rick? From my knowledge, earlier you stated that the fine stands,
Mhm.
right? But under 105 CMR 665, under hearings, it says, after the hearing, the Board of Health or the department as applicable shall sustain, modify, or withdraw the order and shall inform the petitioner.
But and again, Joan is the guru on this. My understanding is that part of the regulations relative to the flavor violations and or the youth sales is that the board's leeway relative to fines and or suspensions, etc., has been removed. That's a very black and white.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
been removed, all right, thank you.
It's who under the impression,
Yeah.
what was the latter, but we weren't prepared for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, in other facets of public health, we modify, waive, fines
Right.
all the time. But this is a
This
little
is-
different,
No,
yeah.
we have no discretion. Either we find that there was a procedural error or something and just say it never happened, or,
It stands.
which I don't feel comfortable.
What's that?
I find it difficult, listen, I don't wanna slap anybody with $1,000
understand
fine.
that.
However, I'm seeing nothing that would suggest procedurally things were messed up.
Jonathan Page, anything?
I agree with you.
I mean, I just think it really comes down to education, and I think, you know, for myself, you know, sometimes, you know, when you think about the 3-strike thing, right? I mean, then you have to say to yourself, really, I mean, if somebody was selling and knew that they were selling something illegally, do you really think that they're gonna put it out all this many times to get caught like that? When there's people all over town selling Newports and distributing all kinds of other things, but, you know, I get where we're going here, you know,
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to look at it from just a different perspective.
I totally get that, you know, we're saying all this product is new.
You know, and I think with these, you know, passion fruits, I mean, and all these other exotic flavors, and, you know, when you go to you go to hookah lounges, and they do have, you know, flavor, I just think it's one of those things that, you know, obviously there has to be some accountability at some point, you know, I
Yeah.
completely understand that, but, you know, if somebody is selling something always illegally, you know, they know they're getting, you know, are they gonna really put it out this many times? I'm just
Well-
struggling with like just a couple of different factors, that's all.
Yeah, and then again, I just go back to, it's your ultimate responsibility. You open up a store, and believe me, I'm not being
Oh, no, I
a
get it.
hard
No,
one person right here, but I just think
got it.
if you're selling to the public, you need to know, and I know that the intention wasn't there, and maybe it's just, but again,
And I
three
tell you the
times.
truth, I get the stuff on all the way down from the May, and there's only like a $5 items. I'm not gonna be getting like
Right,
$1 million
right.
out of it.
So
It's
let,
only like I didn't even know about it, and they were sitting down in the corner.
so if we find that he is in violation, he can appeal it to the local courts, or I forgot, there is appeal,
Yeah, is there any
a
appeal
judicial,
process?
yeah, any person
This-
agreed, final decision, they can take it to, may seek relief, therefore, in any court of competent jurisdiction, as the law through the Commonwealth. So it's, section G of,
Well, my understanding is that this is the appeal process, that's why
this,
that's why we're here. This gentleman is appealing, and there is a, decision that will be rendered today. Now, if the retailer doesn't necessarily agree with that decision, there's always an appeal process beyond.
okay.
That's what we're asking, that's what
Right, I
Beyond,
mean,
beyond,
if he wants to pursue, legal counsel and say, hey, tobacco control is incorrect, or correct, the board is incorrect or correct, I want to go to the next level, that's absolutely within his right to do, but this is the appeal process here right now.
Can I ask a quick question? Have there ever been these type of violations in the 20 years that they've been running their business? Like, has this occurred prior, or?
The only history I have is, going back to, March of
That was the
this
initial,
year.
that was the initial,
Yeah,
aside from that.
and
though.
this is,
Right, so we don't have anything on
March-
file other than
Not
that,
that I'm
right?
aware of.
Yeah, we had checked that.
March, May,
So
August.
aside from this, we don't have anything else, to my knowledge, on file.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we took a look at that.
And you said you were a 20-year business owner in
2000,
town?
since 2000, 22 years.
I'm gonna take some questions from the,
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
sir, did you have your question?
Well, the question I have from the gentleman that works with the state, do these distributors have the licenses with the state?
I don't know 100%, but I would assume that they must have to be licensed with the
I
state.
used to have a little store out in Truro 20 years ago, and when the cigarette people came in, they took over. I didn't even know what they were putting on the shelf.
Mhm.
It's not like when you're putting the meat on, you're dutifully being careful that you don't poison your customers. I feel a lot of sympathy for this man, because of the irony of the state law. It lets us keep killing 500,000 Americans a year, but it better not taste good
Right.
to me. I mean, there's probably some to that, but to me, there's a certain irony that, and also, if I was sitting up there, I was invited to be there, and traditionally, we've been able to ask questions on
Oh, that's
agenda
fine.
items after the.
No,
respective-
and that's fine, it was just, I wanted to get, we got two new
Sorry,
board
I
members,
interrupted.
we're kind of building up, that was it, so that,
Can
this is
you
your
give
time.
him a 3-day fine and not give him a
No,
$1,000 fine would have put me out of business? You can't do one or the other.
no, that's what we were
That's
just
what we
saying.
were asking.
It's either,
It's
either
either
happened, or it didn't happen, and if it happened, you have a $1,000 fine, and you have 3 days of not selling.
Oh, that
'Cause
is
we
right,
have no
yeah.
discretion, so now, what this board needs to decide is, did it happen,
Or
or
didn't
did
it?
it not happen?
That's all we can decide.
That's it.
But in the last irony, I'm not ratting any company out, but there are places in this town, and people in this room know, they can go and get a carton of Newport right now.
Right.
And to have one man picked out, I don't know this man, I don't think I've ever had a conversation with him, but I've seen him in action. And I put him in the upper quarter of our retailers in terms of the way he helps people out.
Yep.
He's a good man, and $1,000 can put a business out of business. And if I said, if I was on the board, I'd be whistling you guys say, let's throw a book at him if this ever happens again, but give him the benefit of the doubt, he come to this country, he's been in business for 20 years, I don't hear complaints about him, seems like a nice man, I don't know. I don't get a vote, but it's just, the thing that cracks me up though, it's not for killing, it's giving us, half million people a year are dying for this, and you get in trouble, not for selling that, but because it tastes good. It's just beyond my, I'm sorry, I talked too much.
Okay, thank you. Yes?
I just have one question. Do you have any record of him receiving training via email, signed logbook, anything that he actually received the training?
I was not provided that documentation for this meeting. I would have to double check with Joan. I would be shocked if she did not have that sheet showing that tobacco control
But
was out
for
to the
this
location.
meeting, you don't have the record of it?
On my person, no.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Is there any laws pertaining to a distributor, saying, well, these are sell like hotcakes because the kids like them?
Any punitive action taken against distributors, I am unaware of. If there was, it may be through the Department of Revenue, might have the need to enforce that. But the Tobacco Control Alliance, which is a grant-funded program, we have, I think, 51 communities in this program. We don't have the ability, the authority to go after the distributor who, more often than not, is out of state. You know.
Yeah, it's just a situation where the distributor should hold some accountability for following their own state laws. In other words, if no distributor should be able to say the kids love them because there's age limit of 21 on, and you shouldn't be telling store owners that the kids love them, because basically you're telling them, you can sell these to the kids.
Well, right, and I think
Then that's,
when the state had put these regulations together, the way around that for the enforcement component was putting the onus back on the store owner, saying, hey, you have to provide a manufacturer letter for each item to show that it is indeed not a flavor.
and can I ask when this manufacturing letter went into effect? Because you had said he had no manufacturing letters for any products with him?
I don't believe so. Again, I wasn't the agent who went out on any of these 3 inspections or re-inspections.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Tony?
So, I think that gentleman over there brought up a good point. So, if, I'd like to make a motion to table this for next Thursday, and at that time, I'd like to see what information was provided to him on his visits that tells him exactly what he needs to do as a
Right.
retailer. Once we have, and just, I wanna see that information that was given, and then if the information was given, so okay, I can understand where you're going, then we maybe have procedural. But if it outlines,
Absolutely.
then, but I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt and just say, all right,
I
let's
agree.
table it. So I'll make a motion to table it.
Anybody wanna second it?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay. I will speak with Joan and have her reach out to the board.
Maritza.
or Maritza.
Okay.
Yes. And talk to you. Okay.
Thank you.
Easy enough.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay. very
Thank
good.
you so much.
Thank you guys.
I gotta
Thank
do
you.
a quick roll call.
Thank you very much.
Paige
no worries, no worries.
Shitka.
Yes.
Tony Pastali.
Yes.
Dan Grabowski.
Yes.
Nicole Duffy.
Yes.
Jasmine Canonis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
So does that make sense,
It is
what we're doing,
even
right?
to the
So,
I have one question.
6 p.m.
They have the list what item we sell or did not sell.
I'm sorry, what?
I think he wants a list of items he can sell.
The
Oh.
state have the any
Oh,
item,
list of-
which
Right.
item we
I-
sell, did not sell. What happens, sometime we go to vacation, right? My employee is working and delivery come. So he knows that this item sellable or not sellable.
We
So I
don't.
need the list for that.
We don't, unfortunately.
They don't have it.
Ideally, the state would have a master list of all.
Without list, how can I do business?
I know, but what
Do
I'm
you know
saying
where
is
he could get the master list at all?
there is no master list.
I mean, from the state, you had said.
That's what I'm saying. Ideally, the state would have a master list of all food products. There is no such list.
Oh,
So
okay.
that, again, the onus, right or wrong, falls on the retailer to provide those manufacturer letters and have those in-house for all tobacco products.
That was his main was like when the distributor sends us and we don't have the list and our employees or I put some item on a shelf
Gotcha.
and the person from the lemon store, they came down and they said, oh,
when
this
in
is
doubt,
flavor.
when in doubt, don't put it out there.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
contact the distributor and find out.
Yeah, you
How
gotta
do I,
contact the
how do I get it
distributors.
moving forward? If I'm doing business with you, I'm your customer, you need to give me the list. And believe me, I get it, but at the end of the day, it is
Yeah.
ultimately the
It's gonna
responsibility
be a
of
pain, but you have to
WTEL.
contact the distributors and, yeah, they have to tell
But,
you.
but
Yeah.
we're trying to
Yeah.
be fair, so we'll look at that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Close this table to what date?
Next
Thank
date.
you.
You got a good job,
This is my part-time gig, I work
Yeah.
full-time for lunch, I'll have
Thank you
Joe
so
reach
much.
out to you.
Yes, please,
Yeah,
thank you
okay.
so much for explaining that, I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
So,
I had no idea what I was doing.
so time pending, do we wanna do Emily first and then citizens forum, because we're gonna,
Yes, how my time, use me however, I get a half hour.
No, that's what I'm
but
saying,
Yeah,
so-
whatever you think is,
because what we have, we gotta, Emily,
We have a 7:30.
yeah, we got the 7:30, so
Yep.
we got like 15 minutes, whatever. Actually, Martha, you wanna just go through the, explain the autumn cleanup and the autumn festival, the dates and everything? We'll just go through those?
You're out of,
I know, I'm just trying to make
can,
time.
any deviation from the,
Yeah.
agenda, what do we need to do?
Just because I'm looking at the 7:30, if they're supposed to come, so.
and you need to entertain a motion to move whichever agenda item you wish to speak of now.
I mean, do you need to speak about cleanup and the autumn fest right now, just tonight? That's your call.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
asking that question
No,
to you.
I'm like asking as far as which, if I'm looking at Emily, I don't know what you're
We
doing.
can table that, quickly until next week.
Yeah, yeah, if we're
Just
gonna,
be
yeah.
5 minutes,
Okay.
Yep,
that's it.
okay.
Okay,
So you need a motion on it, or are we just gonna table it?
to make a motion to table the autumn cleanup and the autumn festival.
We can do that.
Does anybody want to?
Yep, I'll make a motion to, table the autumn cleanup and the autumn festival.
In the blight.
In Blight. Agenda number 9 is old business.
Table by Tony. Can I have a second?
Second.
Dan Grabowski, and we're doing roll call. Pete Shuka. Yes. Tony Pastali.
Yes.
Dan Grabowski.
Yes.
Jasmine Canonis.
Yes.
And Nicole Duffy.
Yes.
Thank you. We're gonna table that until next week.
Okay, so we're doing the blight, the autumn cleanup and the
Yep.
autumn
Yep, number
festival.
9.
Okay, table to next week, okay,
Wonderful.
okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we are at, let's see, we're at the COVID update, right?
Yep.
Do we need to finish our presentation?
She's gonna come in and out and do the presentation, yeah. Okay, COVID update? Did you have the,
Yeah, those are nice. Where'd those come from?
Those came from our regional nurse.
yeah.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
we,
Look at this, huh? You know, I was trying to see what can we deduce from these things, and I'm like, well, not too much. Well, you know, you can see some of the spikes. You're on July
Yeah.
4th.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the other thing in front of me, I've got the, in my computer, but, I everyone take a look at those.
Yep.
COVID. He's got it right on there, perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. Does anyone have any comments about that or anything, or?
No, I think that,
I think we're, yeah.
I think this will be good. We'll be getting this on an
Yes.
ongoing basis. So now at least this is what it looks like. Now we can compare it as we go through.
Yeah,
the
those
months.
graphs are great, yeah.
And I
she's really
also
good
saw
at
the
that.
test kits are gonna start back
Yep,
up, so.
yep, they
I
should
think
be
we're-
arriving
Good.
Starting and
mid-September.
everything, so-
We ordered them this morning, so they should be arriving mid-September.
Good.
Perfect.
Good.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no questions.
Alrighty. Alright, so we'll just go to citizens forum, I guess. Okay, we're gonna open for citizens forum. Does anyone have anything to say, that was not on the agenda? And just a reminder, we have a 2-minute, time limit for each, just because time pending. Anyone like to speak?
Will we be revisiting back to the trash issue for comment?
Yeah, she's gonna come back into that, yeah. Yeah, so anything that's not on the agenda, if anybody has anything to say or anything. Mr. Marquetti?
The only thing that I wanted to say is that, pay as you throw, garbage become, that's probably the most important thing for the community right now, so it's something that you're going to have to take up at some point, so I wouldn't mind if you had a Board of Health meeting dedicated specifically to curbside.
Right, agreed.
collection.
It's too important to hold just
Right.
as a half-hour agenda item on.
Because,
Right, well, we got inundated with everything
I
else,
know,
and that's,
I realize that.
yeah.
Am I gonna come back down or you're not?
You're gonna come back on. You're gonna come back on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's something that does have to be discussed, and discuss that, and possible transfer station, you would have to be involved in that.
Right, well, right now, we just wanna limit it to, if there's anything that anyone has that's not on the agenda right now, and then we'll just go from there, because she's really good about coming back on. Does anyone else have anything?
Oh, no, no.
No?
Right here.
Okay. Okay, so that's one, okay. And next on the agenda, we're going to discuss and vote to appoint Emily Quinn as health agent. So previously, we had Andy Pelletier as a representative of FEP. He's no longer with us, but we would like to continue to be able to, to being a member of the FEP committee. So I'll entertain a motion to accept Emily Quinn as a voting representative to the Region 2 Public Health Emergency Preparedness. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Second.
No, make it.
Who motioned?
You're gonna make the motion. Say, I'll make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Anyone want a second?
Yeah.
Good job,
I'll
Jasmine.
second it. I second it.
Good job, Jasmine.
I'll second the hot dog.
I wanted to second it.
Roll call, Nicole Duffy,
Yes.
Anthony Postali.
Yes.
Dan Grabowski,
Yes.
Jasmine Canonas,
Yes.
Paige
Should go.
should go.
Should go.
Like
Should
sugar.
go.
Like should go.
Should go.
Just forget the Z and it goes well.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Forget the Z and it goes.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I gotta
Congratulations.
remember that.
Okay, is there any new business that anyone is gonna discuss? No, I'm good. Okay, and we are tabling the light update, we're tabling the autumn cleanup and the autumn festival. Chairman announcements, at this time, I don't have any
Yes,
chairman
you do.
announcements
Yes,
except
you do.
for, except for, I know, for the yellow. I wasn't finished yet, I'm looking for my page.
Except
Yeah, I know,
for
I don't have any
this
because I have
thing.
this long
Stand
thing.
up and make sure. Keep her honest. Keep her
I
honest.
got the long way in. Okay. Okay, so my announcement is Board of Health Chairperson's announcements is made as part of MADEP's goal to reduce trash disposal statewide. Mass DEP has expanded its current waste disposal bans by adding mattress, box springs, and textiles to the list of materials banned from disposal or transport for disposal in Massachusetts, effective November 1st, 2022. Residents will have the following options to recycle their mattresses and box springs. After November 1st of 2022, residents can call Casella at 1-800-CASELLA for a curbside pickup. The cost is $35 per item. Each mattress or box spring must be placed in a plastic mattress disposal bag. These can be purchased at Home Depot, Lowe's, or Walmart. They will not be collected if they're not in a plastic bag. After November 1st of 2022, residents will have the option of bringing mattresses to Casella's Oxford Transfer Station on the same day as the quarterly household hazardous waste collection days for a fee of $25 an item. On October 1st, 2022, Southbridge Health Department is hosting a Take Back Day for all Southbridge residents at the DPW complex. That's at 185 Gulfwood Road from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. The items that are going to be included will be mattresses, box springs for $20 each, electronics price per pound, car tires for $3 each, and textiles at no charge. Each mattress or box spring must be placed in a plastic mattress disposal bag. Can't emphasize that enough. They will not be accepted if they're not in a plastic bag. Cash or check only. Textiles must be dry.
Excuse me, can you please repeat the date of that?
October 1st.
October first.
October 1st, 2022. Yep. Please do not put textiles in the trash or recycling totes. Textiles should be placed in one of the collection boxes throughout town. Visit thinkreduce.com for a list of all the locations. The rain barrels are available through the Southbridge Health Department for $25 each for Southbridge residents. These are being subsidized by the MADEP Recycling Dividends Program, the RDP grant. We paid $60 for each of these. The compost bins are available through the Southbridge Health Department for $25 each for Southbridge residents. These are being subsidized by the MADP Recycling Dividends Program, the RDP grant. Composting demonstration. Ada Smith will be holding a composting demonstration at the Jacob Edwards Library on September 19th, 2022 at 10 a.m. Curbside yard waste collection will run from October 17th, 2022 until November 25, 2022. The yard waste drop-off at the DPW yard at 185 Gulfwood Road will remain open until November 25th, 2022. Commercial yard waste will not be accepted. Thank you. Oh, these are great, thank you. And next on the agenda, let me get back to my paper.
Is this on our website?
Okay.
It will.
So next on the agenda, item number 11, board member announcements. Did anyone have any announcements? Like to go first? No?
I have none.
I'd just like to say welcome to our new members.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Welcome.
Okay. Okay. What time? What are we doing for time?
About
7:45.
7:45.
Okay.
I already said welcome at the beginning.
Okay. And let's see, so the next, we have, we've got about like 5 more minutes before the next hearing that we have.
Can I go first?
Yeah, 5 minutes, you're on. You got it.
Do back and forth there?
I like it.
Well, that's it. So we're on number 10 here on what are the challenges that people bring up, because people are still talking about it in the back room because you brought up pay as you throw, so therefore illegal dumping. So I've been here 20 years. We have 155 communities that have gone. It is by far always brought up is people will do illegal dumping. Trash, for household trash, it is by far very few. We do not see it. It is not, we don't even see it on the tonnage amounts that you say, oh, there's a problem. If you have illegal dumping, you have a spot where people put bulky items, you will always have a problem in that spot because of lack of education, the cost of things. People don't know about events, like you just said before. If people know about the events and they know how to get there if things are too big and they don't have access, but you gave a phone number so that they could call Casella to have it picked up. But some communities don't have that call access, then it just goes in the back of the yard and goes back in the back in the yard. So they just don't have a place to move it. That's where the illegal dumping comes about, but not from a pay-as-you-throw program. Other things that come up is that fees are tax, you know, and so it just depends on how we're cutting the pie, you know. And another thing is that low-income families will be affected. So it's just the ways that can do it. There are always, when you do a program, you can always state that we'll have a hardship thing, that somebody can come in and we can give it, or you can have programs in place that will always give 50 bags or 1 per household, one bag per week per household will just be given automatically. So you could always just say, hey, we're gonna be doing that to make it that everybody, I'm a family of, this summer, family of 10 with my niece and my kids and my mom, everybody in the house, 2 bags of trash. But we recycle, we compost, and if you cook for more people, people don't realize that. When you cook for more people, I have friends that have 14 people in the house. They actually only put out 1 bag of trash because everything can be recycled, composted, and eaten. Everything is eaten. So they don't really have as much trash and you don't have as much money, so then you don't have as much stuff. So it kind of goes to that kind of attitude that people are like, oh, you're going to hurt low-income families if you do that, but if it really gets paid for. The funding incentives, we have the technical assistance grant, and what that is 80 hours of in-kind time. And how our program works is even if it's, you guys already had a committee that already met, we can kind of reestablish that, get some other people involved, do this pretty quick. It is a requirement for the grant money that I need you to have the technical assistance so that we know that you're on a forward motion and we don't want to go through. I've done this for different towns, like we get all gun-ho and then somebody just gets cold feet and just goes, well, wait a bit. And so that holds up it holds up our grant money if we put money aside for it. So we want to make sure you're ready. If you're thinking of going 2024, then we're ready to go.
Okay.
I provide background information. Of course, other towns, I've done it. I've helped 20 communities go to pay-as-you-throw. I've actually helped another 10 communities that we've gone through the process, like Charlton. I actually have worked with them a few different times. Set up visits to different programs. Last fall, we just did a Zoom meeting to different sites so that people could go to different sites, different towns that have programs. Financial, we'll go through all the different numbers, you know, so I can work with the technical assistants and actually help with meetings. Somebody was asking like, well, I'm here to help and I can go to all the meetings that you guys have. Of course, this is when you talk about changing trash programs, it is normally, we pretty much, whatever the number code of how many people can be in a room, we normally fill it. So always say if you're gonna discuss trash and it will be on the agenda and we're at that next level, we need to go to the gymnasium. Note that people will come in that you've never seen before and will never see again. Clinton, we had the fire department take us out 3 times. But then after people realize that, hey, you're paying trash right now, it's just in one way and we wanna make it sustainable, then they're like, oh, and people do get upset in the beginning, but then when they realize it, typically within a week, 2 weeks, they're like, oh, I buy my trash bags now, I'm just buying it a different way, and that's paying for the cost. So therefore my taxes don't go up, or my fee is not as, it's not $400. You know, I just say, you know, there is savings in there. So I'm here to help you through that process. I just went, and there's an implementation plan to not just talk about the trash program, but the recycling, composting, bulky items, hazardous waste. So all of that's laid out on how the program's gonna go for the whole town. And have an education program, that this is not just the Board of Health meeting, it's not just gonna be a town council meeting, it is a presentation at the senior center, it's a presentation at the PTO, it's a presentation and thing, it's a social media thing, it's, you know, we'll have various campaigns and education and mailers, and everybody will be informed when there is a discussion to go to that next level, and people will have input, because there will be always, so I want everybody to realize this is like, we're having a discussion of options.
Right.
So there's not even a committee started.
Right, right.
There is funding of different things, so if you then get the technical assistance, we can give you up to, could be just $10 per household if you decide to go, we're just moving our, we're gonna give you 50 free bags, you know, and do it that way. Or if you go to a 35-gallon cart, it is 30. You already have a 64-gallon cart, and just to throw this kind of out there, I don't think this is, it might be an option, but I can give you easily $10 per household right now if you just went to say every other week up for your trash pickup. So you have a 64-gallon cart and people would have overflow. So then,
Right.
so we'd switch the trash and recycling. Recycling would be weekly and trash would be every other week.
Oh.
And then for those weeks that it's not being picked up, you put an overflow bag out.
Okay.
You know, so it's still being picked up, but it's not being picked up in that cart.
Sure.
They have to pay for that. So the taxes are only paying for 35 gallons.
Nice.
And so you're not changing carts. So there is another thing, and the other thing that we were talking about is if it's bags in cart, we could easily go move your trash, which I flipped it for you, but if we did a reversal, which is kind of strange, your 96-gallon cart becomes the trash cart with pay-as-you-throw bags inside, and the 64-gallon cart moves over and becomes your weekly recycling bin.
Okay.
And so then you actually add service and resources for anything at the trash.
I'm gonna have to like go into the 7:30 thing, I'm so sorry.
So
There's
I
no
don't know
way
if
to
there's,
segue that.
I know when people have questions.
That was a good thing too.
Do you want me to stay for questions, or we wanna have another?
If you can, that would be great, I appreciate that.
You know, I do think it's in our best interest to have a meeting dedicated, and, because I'd like to hear what town council has going on with this too. I'd like to hear.
Oh, no, I
Wouldn't that be for the
she's
next
gonna-
committee? I
yeah,
think the next, the
She's
answer,
gonna
asking
stay for
what
the
I'm.
questions, yeah, I just wanna keep time, I wanna keep.
Yeah,
it
no,
to
no, no,
7:30,
no, but
yeah.
I just think it's even just this little amount
Oh,
of
yeah,
time
absolutely.
is not
It's
enough.
not enough for this
Oh, yeah.
function.
And if,
Oh, no,
and if
absolutely.
town council is already ahead of the curve a little bit, it's a good time to,
Oh, no,
let's not work
absolutely.
separately, let's work together, right?
Absolutely, I'm right
Okay.
there with you.
All right, good.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay, we'd like to open the public hearing for the 7:30 declare,
At 7:34.
at 7:34, excuse me.
I just got it on my computer.
I'll start if that's okay.
Yes.
I'm just passing around some photos for
Thank
the
you.
board members. So on August 30th, 2022, I got a call from the Southbridge Police Department, a complaint for 209 Marcy Street. They had been called in for a wellness check. They requested Board of Health presence, and I was accompanied by Mike Julian, our building inspector. At the time of inspection, I met with the occupant, who I believe is the owner. Her name is Gail Frank. I believe she's here tonight. Yep. At which point she told us that has not had any running water since February. She had a pipe burst and has not repaired it. There's also an extreme accumulation of garbage, rubbish, items just everywhere in the house. We went up to the second floor. It was not passable. We couldn't get through. There was too much stuff to get through. There was animals in the house and waste on the floor. The dwelling itself is a fire hazard. If there was anything to go wrong in there, I don't believe they'd be able to get out in time, truthfully. If they do, it would be a miracle. I went back yesterday with Mike Julian. The occupant stated that she has not restored water, and she had previously stated that she was going to have a dumpster and have it cleaned within a couple of days. Yesterday there was no dumpster on the premises, but I did not enter. So my recommendation to the board is to declare it unfit for human habitation, as there is no running water and it is not safe.
Thank you, Emily. Any questions from the board?
Why is there no running water?
She's had a pipe burst
Pipe-
in
pipe,
February.
that's right. Pipe burst in February?
Yes, and she's been without running water since.
Excuse me, that pipe burst that was inside the house? Where was the pipe?
It's currently shut off at the meter. I'm assuming that it burst in the basement, so there was no
So
way.
she shut the main pipe, the main
Yeah,
switch off?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was supposed to be some cleanup going on, and there's no cleanup?
No cleanup so
At
far,
all.
from what I understand. She had agreed to a dumpster when I was there yesterday. I had met her outside as she was leaving, I believe, because she was getting in her vehicle. I did not get a chance to enter, but she confirmed that there was no cleanup and no running water.
How much water damage was done on it, the pipe burst?
I did not get into the
Nobody
basement.
knows.
Truthfully, the whole house was cluttered. I got into the rooms that I could get in.
I saw the pictures, but,
Yes.
so the pipe burst in the basement, of course, and that's, did you know how long the pipe was broken before anyone did anything about it?
I didn't get down to the basement. I don't
So
know. She just told me that it's been out since
So I
February.
would assume there's some kind of mold stuff since February, right, March, April?
It's gotta be.
It's gotta be, yeah,
Right.
that's,
That's
that
tough in
mold kicks in
itself.
quick.
So I'm sorry if is she the owner?
It's addressed to the estate of Irene Kangas. She said that was her mother, but she is the legal occupant.
And probably a question outside our purview, but is there any insurance on that? We don't know, and yeah. How is she with no water? Is she just buying water and just?
That's a question for her. She is in the back. I'd like to direct it towards her.
She is in the room.
Oh, she's.
Her name's Gayla.
Gail? Gail? Hi,
Hey,
Gail. Gail, so what are you doing for water and even just?
buying gallons of water.
And what do you do, just to flush a toilet, you just pour it down
Yep, and
into
filter
there?
everything and wash.
So what's going on with the plumbing?
I've been fixing the holes in the pipes.
Was it a pipe freeze that happened, or was it just
Yes.
where corrosion?
Pipe freeze.
A pipe freeze, okay.
There's one more pipe that I found a leak that I need to fix, and then I'll be able to have the water back on permanently.
So you don't have any assistance by any insurance to?
No, I don't.
No.
Is what you're saying, is it lack of funds? Is that the reason why you haven't got the dumpster and everything? Is that what it is?
I've asked different plumbers if they could help by taking payments, and they said, no, we don't take payments. We need some money up front.
Let's talk about the living conditions other than the water, which is huge, but the trash that's collected in there, were you planning on cleaning that out, or?
Well, we've been working on it. This is my daughter. We have been working on it.
Do you live with her too?
Yes, she does. I did not know the condition of the second floor until my brother moved out, while he was living there.
Did you visit the second floor?
Some of those photos are of the second
Oh, of the
floor.
second
A
floor.
portion is the second half of the photos, is the second floor. The first few photos are the first floor. The second floor is considerably worse. It was completely impassable beyond the threshold. But I could take photos of the rooms surrounding. The first floor was very cluttered as well, and there was filth, and waste on the floor in the first floor. So it's not,
Human waste?
I don't know, there was dogs there.
It would be my puppy.
Your dog?
I was drinking a puppy.
So now you're working on.
Excuse me, one moment, Tony.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have an announcement to make, I'm sorry.
Sorry, so I'm abstaining from this matter.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you, Jess.
I'll be back.
Okay, thanks.
So I guess I'd just like to hear your plan moving forward, how to get at least the two biggest issues we have, which is probably the biggest one is your plumbing. Yeah, I'm not sure how you can live without that water, but I understand your situation. So what's the plan?
I've been putting sealant on the pipes as they leak. And I've got one more, I have to find where the leak is, and the water will be back on. I can do that tomorrow.
Well, if you don't have a plumber that's working with you, then I've tried to seal up some stuff at my house and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it needs a professional, and who turns the water back on? And they're gonna have to make sure that the plumbing is up and running, Maritza? Is it, who turns the water back on?
I believe it's the water company if it's shut off at the meter.
Yeah.
As luck would have it, the water company's here not for this issue.
Oh,
So I just checked the records, we put a meter in that house in January that was frozen and cracked.
all right.
And as my record said, it says it's on in the street, so it must be off in the basement, which they have
It's
control
off in
over.
the basement.
Oh, so
Okay.
they should, all right, which,
Thanks. Sam. So you shut it off? Understand, okay, great.
To prevent.
so do you have a lot of mold? To Dan's question, do you have a lot of mold in your basement?
No, we don't.
So I just have a question, so at this point in time, aside from the pipe, do you have, I mean, it's overwhelming, you know, and I can imagine. Do you have a plan to help, for others to help you, or are you seeking out help or anything else?
I'm seeking help.
Okay,
I been emailing for a dumpster to come and nobody's gotten back to
okay,
me. I've been trying different companies for a couple weeks now
to get a dumpster.
to get a dumpster.
So no one's gotten back to you yet? When did you start emailing them?
The day after the health department.
The day after, and that was August 30th, you want? Okay, so it'll be August 31st, okay.
Do you have any other place to live?
No, I'm not. I've been using my paycheck to stay in the different hotels in the area, which is quite expensive.
So let me ask you this, Emily, again, I'm not, you know, I know you don't have Andy, this is who we usually go to, but, just from what you can say at this point, like, in your opinion, what's the minimum that needs to be done, you know, at this point? Yeah, what's the bare minimum at this point?
The water definitely needs to be running. Obviously, she's made due for the last 6 months by buying water. You know, that's not acceptable on our terms.
Okay.
My other concern is just the accumulation of rubbish, of items within the house. Like I said, the second floor was impassable. There's also an attic with items in it. I didn't get up there, I couldn't, but I could see up there and see
Okay.
boxes, and she confirmed that there are items up there. concern is also, you know, the weight. What if the floors give out?
Right.
And the first floor, you know, I could only make it into a few rooms there as well with the accumulation of stuff. So I don't know how they would escape if there was a fire.
Is there anybody, there's no occupant on the second floor anymore? You said it was your brother? It's a two-floor,
It's a single family home with
single-family
floors.
home?
Okay. So we're talking about water, we're talking about pathways at least?
Right.
We're talking about
Egresses.
Yeah, egresses, exactly, pathways, egresses.
So are
To
we
clear.
within our rights to say, to give,
Where the
you
smoke
have so
detectors
many
working?
days?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's a tough one.
No, it's gonna be a tough one, yeah. We're obviously gonna need to spend some time with that. Anything else as far as like bare minimum that you can think of, other than water, pathways and egresses?
Access to cooking, the stove,
Okay. So we're looking at bare minimum at this
bare
point.
minimum, yeah.
The bathrooms, working.
Smoke detectors.
So, yeah, no water, so toilets don't, okay. Okay. If the water is turned on, I mean, I know it's been a while, were the toilets working prior and everything? It's just the water, okay, okay. Was there anything else that was broken other than, you know, just the water working or any roof issues or anything that you know about?
No, no problems with the roof that I know of.
Okay. So, what's,
The recommendation.
yeah, what's the recommendation at this point, as far as time frame at least, anyway, to,
Well, we are, I believe, 9 days in, and there's still no water and there's still no movement on the trash getting out. I think at minimum or maximum another week to at least see progress, get a dumpster, have it be filled. I know that money is a constraint, but I believe there are companies out there who can go on a payment plan with at least a credit card. So I don't see getting a plumber as,
what do you feel is a reasonable amount of time to obtain that? You know what I mean, to, in your experience, like to get a hold of somebody, get a plan, and then actually in there? Just a general idea.
I don't know, emergency plumbers can go out. They go out at any time of day. I really feel that a week is reasonable. In my experience, you can have a dumpster delivered within 48 hours.
Okay.
So I don't
Okay.
think much more than a week to at least see progress, significant progress made is unreasonable.
That's an additional week as of today? Is that
1 week.
one more week?
Maximum.
Yeah, it's just talking about, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we should give
So
it-
talking about water on, the pathways and egresses, and obviously a dumpster. Ma'am, is your stove, does your stove work?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a gas? Is it?
Electric.
It's electric, okay. Okay. Do you wanna give it about a week and then
I think,
7 days?
Would you like to
Did
put it on the agenda for next week?
yes.
Yes, I would, yeah, absolutely.
So did you hear any of this conversation?
I heard
Nothing?
very little.
So, I think the last thing we wanna do is displace you. and
Right.
That's the very last thing, but then also the condition of your home is also, we need to take that into consideration. So what we'd like to do is give you another week
Okay.
to get your affairs in order. And Nicole has the list of what she'd
Right.
like to see
Right.
happening.
So what we're looking for is, we're looking for the water to be turned on, so you need to get in touch with a plumber and get that fixed, so you'll have the water. You'll have to have pathways clear, you have to have the emergency, the egresses cleared.
Okay.
The trash out, a dumpster there. Those are the basics, those are the basics at this point. This is for 7 days.
Nobody's getting back to me.
that's what I was asking Emily about, like, what's a reasonable amount of time it would take? I mean, I know you had reached out, but, so you have like 7 days to actually get the dumpster, to clear the egresses, and to get the water back on. I mean, if there's, if you have any questions in between that, you can feel free to contact us, okay?
And I'd like to think that the dumpster isn't stopping you from starting the cleanup. Bags, making sure the walkways, you have, you know,
Right.
it doesn't all,
Right.
We
you know.
have been putting
Right.
some bags out on our deck
Okay,
temporarily.
right. But if you have a question as far as like you're not sure exactly what an egret, you know, or anything like that, feel free to call us, you know what I mean, ask us, so we can be clear about that. I know it's a general term, you know, and I know you've got your work cut out for you, but, yeah, we're not looking to make things difficult, but, you know, it needs to be, you know, it needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so,
Can I suggest
Absolutely.
adding to your
yes,
requirements,
Yes.
daily contact with the department, so that we know they are
Stay on top of
safe
Good
and
call.
they are on top of it,
good idea.
and we're not losing communication.
Daily contact, okay. So we're gonna ask if you can
suggestion.
contact our office on a daily basis, so we can keep communication clear and know where you're at, and if you can assist at all on top of that, okay? Okay, so you have our phone number, correct? We can give that to you afterwards if you'd like, okay? Do you have it, or no, you need it?
I've called them
She's
multiple.
Okay, do you wanna give that number to her now, or,
Because she hasn't.
okay, you wanna give it to her again, just before she leaves? Okay,
So I have a motion on the table to continue the hearing, 7 days from now, that'll be September 15th.
I make a motion.
Thank you,
Second?
thank you. Nicole Duffy?
yes,
Jasmine Canonas, she
she's abstained.
abstained, thank you. Dan Grabowski?
Yes.
Paige?
Shut. Yes.
Thank you.
You're getting there. Say it 20 times.
Tony Pasali?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, thank goodness. Easy one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Tony's gonna exit.
Yes. And then, so I'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week. You come out and Jasmine will come back in. You can put her back on
So we're having a meeting next week.
next week at 6. So Tony, we're gonna have a meeting next Thursday, 6
Yes,
p.m.?
next Thursday,
Thanks.
6 works.
Next
All right,
Thursday,
we'll see
6
you guys.
p.m. Yep.
Thanks, Tony.
You know,
Thanks,
we do
Tony.
weekly meetings, or is that just
Just to talk about the things we didn't get to talk about yet. So next Thursday, 6 p.m. is for the finish up. And then September 15th, Jasmine won't go to that one. That'll be about the cleanup we were just talking about, so.
So the 15th?
Yep.
What do you have for the, next meeting as well?
The next meeting is Thursday, this next Thursday, 6 p.m. That's for the finish up for the festival and all that. And then September 15th is for the continuation for this one,
Okay.
at 6 p.m.
Okay, so we have one on the 15th, and what is the other date?
Next Thursday.
That's the
That's the
15th.
15th.
Wait a minute.
So the 15th and
Oh, we're
22nd.
doing both of them, okay, wow. Wow.
So,
My mind just like got blown. Well, that'll be great. We'll have
so
those.
the 15th, we'll be able to manage both
Yeah,
situations?
yeah, we'll be able to do that, yeah, exactly, yeah. So Jasmine, you'll just abstain yourself from the part when we meet up with this one, if that's it.
Can I ask why we have one on the 22nd?
I went outside.
You just said it.
Yeah,
I
there
didn't say
you go.
22nd. I didn't say 22nd. I said the 15th. no.
Okay, 15th at 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, I didn't say 22nd.
Oh, good, so the 15th. Oh, good.
15th is both, yeah.
Okay,
I just got blown away because, oh my God, it's already the 15th.
I know.
Yeah, that'll work.
Because we're away for the 22nd.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, but the 22nd.
And now we're going to see if she comes back in and we can finish up with any questions or
Meetings are
anything.
on a particular,
Every second Tuesday.
every
Typically,
second
yeah,
Tuesday.
typically.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Typically, it's, typically we have one, on the second Thursday of every month.
Okay.
Sometimes things will happen, we'll flip it, but generally speaking. it's
Okay,
the
so
rule.
just kind of pencil that.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's
Yep.
fine. I just want
Yep. So
to
we'll do
try to
that.
attend as many as I can.
Yeah, we'll just do that. We'll see if she comes in. Too many papers here.
Not too bad.
No, and then we'll wait for her.
My very first one was 2 hours and 20 minutes. Today is gonna be quick. That was, go to
I think a
meeting.
couple people
Go to
after.
meeting?
My very
I
first
think
one,
a
go to
couple
meeting.
people after.
Like this will take like a week.
You wanna go poke out there and see
I
if
never
what's
go to
coming
meetings,
in?
we still do a lot of go to meetings.
Anna's gonna go. Thank you, Anna.
That's a long one. It's hard to do a meeting to be challenging, though, sure. Especially if you don't know, especially if you don't know all your players, right? That's.
Well, I don't know anyway. I just do a lot of it.
Right.
Andy from TV.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your flexibility here. Now the floor is yours.
I know, now it's just open questions, I mean, people have the questions, so it's just note that we have funding, and we have, I think for the board, the only thing I'm asking for is if you guys want to get the technical assistance grant. We have to apply for that to get any grant money for pay as you throw. So
Okay.
even if you go, don't go, we look at the numbers and you have 80 hours of my time. So I think that's a no-brainer. If you guys are okay just to say yes on that, and then who would I work with? Would I work with Anna to just go on to Retrack and we just do it like we do, that you just got the mattress grant, it's pretty much the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's right on there, and just her and I can work on that. So if the board can approve that, that would be great, and then that can move us to the next level to then have another meeting to discuss some other findings and get the committee that's already
Right.
been in place together.
Right, so that's the first step.
Yeah. So is that something that you guys can do, because then we can move forward?
What, you looking, be looking for?
And then questions?
Anna. Yeah, come on, Anna.
Someone has to suggest.
I'll suggest it.
I just don't want that around.
1 second.
Yes, I have a question too. I can't hear you.
Just where I like to be.
No, the Board of Health can go through it, because they're in charge of trash, unless that changed in the town.
No, that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Well, because the ultimate, when we go through the contracting process, that was.
Right, so, and I was just trying to explain that, note that this program is two facets, and I think that's what we get all the things is, the town needs to have a contract, which you do now. You currently have a contract with Casella, you are gonna go out to bid it and have another contract with a vendor. That is one aspect. The other thing is, the town with the residents, how is the pie broken up?
Right.
Is it just a one thing? Is it a 2-prong? Is it a 3-prong? Is it a 4? I don't know how we do that. But how is the makeup of it, and what are the fees and the sizes and things like that? So that's the details of it. But the town council with the town the town council and the counselor, that's the contract with the vendor. I think the Board of Health needs to know the details of it, which means we need to have the technical assistance to work out all those
That's what I was
details.
just gonna say, your 80 hours is gonna provide those reports on everything.
Yes, with the committee, it's just not me doing all the work.
Of course,
It's,
yes,
we
of
need
course.
to make sure the town council people and the Board of Health and a finance person and resident and a senior are part of those, part of that. We've done a couple times that I've even had naysayers on there and say, hey, just try it now. Here's a whole bunch of bags and just see how does that work, and they'll be like, I've had the biggest naysayers, a couple of them over the years of being like, that was easy. It's just that it's a psychological thing. When you pay for something, you look inside and you're like, why is my wife putting all the magazines in there? Because I can't, the library won't take them, but I can put them in the recycling bin, or So it's just that kind of attitude. Or the others, I've had people that said even officials, like state officials going, they lived in a town, nobody will do this, it will be mayhem, it will be crazy, and then 2 weeks later after the program goes, why didn't we start this earlier? What were you so worried about? They bought bags, they're buying bags, it's in the bin, it was in the bin.
Exactly.
It's just changing the color of the bin, but it's changing, it's the discussion of the breaking up of the funding. That's what we're discussing, is the funding of it, and that's the detail. So we can get into that. I was not discussing that today, even though we got it. It's really, that's what the committee's about, to discuss those details and write out the numbers and look at those in detail. And come back. So anybody have other questions?
I have a question, and I would love to be on that committee. But I would, and I saw in your literature, one of the slides said swap. Because I've always been talking about we need a take it or leave it shed, and that's what Wood Recycling had, and they called it that. You can call it whatever you want. But just where somebody can leave something off that's in good shape and somebody else can use it.
So this would be
They
great
can
for
take it.
an added thing to discuss a drop off that was discussed before, and then that could be added into that. The other thing is online swaps are amazing. I find that sometimes just taking a picture, and I think you guys have a great site, or there was one, that you can say post this on here, and if it doesn't get taken, then it's trash. But if it's to give you the best example, I had a couch that was like 60 years old and completely shredded. I took a picture of it, and the wording was, "This is a reupholstered project." It went in about an hour.
Wow.
Free. Went, because it was real wood and real springs, and somebody goes,
Nice.
I am using that. Because,
Nice.
but you word it right and say, hey, this is basement couch now. Who needs it for the teenagers? It's gone. So sometimes you just take a picture of one item and it goes faster versus saying yard sale or just put it here.
Right.
And on the pickup, one problem we tend to have in town is the free thing. Somebody throws a couch out on the front lawn and puts a free sign. That's all well and good. 3 rainstorms later, a week and a half, somebody has to come by and take that couch away, or talk to the resident and say, you can't leave that out there, nobody. I wanted to suggest that we have a bulk pickup program, that if you wanna put something out and put a free sign on a Thursday, fine, but that item will be picked up bulk on a Tuesday. You have to schedule it, but you need to have it gone.
So there's a few different ways to go through that. You already have bulk pickup that people call and stuff like that. You have charity groups that will come and pick up stuff. We have some great yard sales, town yard sales, which are just amazing. That different groups, it's not really sometimes the town, we have it with the band or the playground group, and they pick like the spring, and one picks the fall, a church picks picks a date, and they just have a map of the town, and people pay, to get on the map, and people pay to get the map, and they have a wonderful time. And then you say the charity comes like right after everybody leaves the stuff out and says free, and you grab whatever you want, and then the next day the charity's coming around and picks up everything else, and then you should say the next day is pay to have it picked up for trash. And so if you planted something like that, then I think that would be really good versus also getting people to get stuff that they need for their house at low income.
It sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
I know.
And the charities make a lot of money because literally all they did was make a map of the town.
Yeah.
They did not do anything, and it's not moving stuff or anything like that. And the resident also likes it. I'm not moving from my property. People come to me, people pay me, or the charity takes it for free, or I paid for the last thing to take it away. So, yeah.
So I was just more of a request, when the next time you're involved with the town, I know you have some great examples of towns with the paper bag system. Most of the ones I heard you talk about didn't have the housing situation Southbridge does. I would like to hear some examples of towns that are mixed like ours.
Yeah.
That are single family, a lot of multifamily.
So we have others that like Brockton, and that goes a little outside. So my big city is the city of Worcester, which is bags. So everybody knows the yellow bags. But I have counterparts that are in other cities, because like I said, 495, Marlboro is a 64-gallon cart like you. Fitchburg is a 64-gallon cart. They keep it in the tax base. So some of them keep it in the tax
My
base.
concern with that is, if you keep it in the tax base, for me and my wife, with an average to nice single-family home is gonna pay a lot more for trash than a multifamily. And that's
Right.
not equitable, it's not fair. So we need to be real honest when we talk about whatever base charge we build into our tax rate, or if it's all gonna hit the full cost of a bag, have the whole program based on bag price, or if there's gonna be that unit cost, that tax that hits the base, that's still just a subsidy in my opinion. And we need to be real careful how we do that, because.
But you always want the fixed costs to be covered by fixed revenue.
Right.
And so the guy coming down the road, it really doesn't matter, and if it's one bag or so many bags, 15 bags. But if you have the bag cost, that should cover the disposal of that bag. So I think hybrid would work out well for the town.
I guess the next time you come out.
And I think we're gonna go through some numbers, and we'll play with the committee.
Set up the committee. I know there was a committee. I would also love to get in on it if anybody's listening that
Are you ready?
Run the next version or whatever the committee is.
Make sure she has your name and email.
I think Councilor
I'll
Atkins is
follow
next.
up.
I think
Okay,
Councilor
and
Atkins
you
is next. Oh,
Yeah.
I did
Mr.
that once, I'm not
Go
doing,
ahead.
I don't know about that second.
Go ahead.
Hey, just real quick, and I appreciate your time tonight, coming in here and.
Yeah.
This is the most interesting
At
one.
last minute.
At least you're friendly.
Not yet.
So
No.
far.
But I will say this, is we did the pay-as-you-throw, as I explained outside, we did the pay-as-you-throw. We, nobody here in the town council voted on the funding source and how it worked. The only thing the council voted on was a contract collection. That was it. So it'd be the same thing that we're having now or pay-as-you-throw. So information that was set out at the very beginning of the meeting was not right. So we did all this work, we got the prices, and we figured all this stuff out and how much it would cost, and I think a lot of us took that to heart of going, we had Waste Zero come in here and explain everything for a couple hours actually, gave us their spill and everything, so it was really good to hear that, and it sounds completely the same. My concern is what I've heard from the town council meetings, because I've given 3 presentations already on the same thing, and besides the multiple meetings that we had, the concern here is, with the pay-as-you-throw, right, you obviously can run yourself into a deficit if you're not planning it correctly, and then we have to pull out $200,000-$300,000 at the end of the fiscal year to make sure we pay the hauler in that contract. Because you're really dependent on either an enterprise fund, or which is a tax if it's mandated, or taxes itself, which would be an override. Even the enterprise fund, even if we paid partial through taxes, it would probably still be an override because of our tax levy. So that being said, if we just do an enterprise fund, it's a fee. Even, I think it's on your guys' website, and a couple others say, don't say tax, say fee. It's a tax if it's mandated, or a fee, rate, whatever you call it.
Actually, I do need to specify that. If it's a fee, like you have an electric everybody has to pay. If it is a fee that is separate, like it is a dog fee. If you don't own a dog, you don't pay for it. If you have it separate, it's not in the tax base, and you have a separate fee in a different location, it's not in the taxes. You have a separate fee.
Right.
That fee,
Enterprise.
yeah. If you even have, it's not an enterprise fund is just the funding. It's just the accounting bucket it's in. It's just the funding location. That the only people that know that is really the accountant that knows which it's in that account. It's in the enterprise fund. But if it is a fee outside of taxes, then it is optional, and which is crazy because the town can get a nice price. If they go out to a private subscription, it's going to be 2 to 3 times more. But there are some people that choose to do that. So we were talking about opt in or opt out.
Right.
If you have a fee, then people can opt out.
Okay.
So just be aware of that. If it's in the tax base, it's in the tax base. If you choose not to participate, we're going to ask you where you bring your trash. But
And it'll show you on the PowerPoint slide, which I'm gonna give to you before you leave tonight.
Yeah.
That there's a possibility of losing 10 to 20% of your base, which will obviously increase what people are paying already for their enterprise, to get pay-as-you-throw. Besides the bags or the stickers, whatever. That's my concern, is what the cost at the end of the day is gonna be, as well as, obviously we wanna reduce trash and recycling and all that. And it does a great job, and I think the town does an awesome job doing that, and it's only picked up over the years. So I appreciate that, but at the end of the day, what we heard as a town council was, we wanna be fair across the board. We wanna make sure that, you got a single family of 2 people pays its fair share, but at the same time, the family of 8 people pays its fair share. So if you lose that 10, 20%, you open a landfill, now I'm gonna go pay $300 a year for a permit to go drop my stuff off. It goes back onto the people that have the pay-as-you-throw program. I guess in the future, if this is gonna go forward, I would just ask those numbers be identified and be looked at for our town.
Yep.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah. So that 20%, to my understanding, and you can help if I'm off on this, is on the disposal portion only. When you get a curbside contract, if they're picking up 5,800 households or 6,000 household, the collection cost is the same. Do you know? I mean, they're coming to town and they're picking up. They still have to go down,
It's not
you
gonna
know.
change, the contract's a contract, right?
Well, what I'm saying is that 20% comes out of the disposal portion of things.
Yeah,
Are you
so-
familiar
so-
with that?
Yeah, so when we have a waste reduction program, it's gonna be 25 to 50% of the waste will go down, and that will be the disposal.
Oh, offset.
The collection is still gonna be the cost. So when we talked about it, a town contract that you have is broken in 3 parts. It's the collection going down the road, which includes gas, then it has the disposal of trash, and then that's pretty much by household, because they're gonna say how many households you have, and then the recycling processing, and that also depends on the market. So we're gonna put some safety nets in there to make sure that the town stays whole, that you're not taken advantage of in that situation. You wanna be as fair in your contract with your vendor as well, because if gas prices go up, he needs to be able to pay for them. So there does need to be that leeway in the fee structure. So that's why it's kind of nice if it's in the tax base, so that it can absorb some things that you're not aware of yet. If, you know, gas prices hit $6 again, you know, then that price will go up. When you set a flat fee, we normally set it for about 3 to 5 years. So we normally do give some cushion room into that flat fee. And I'm always very conservative in my numbers. I had the town of Northborough that kind of did what you're talking about. Is he goes, oh, I have a great contract, I'm gonna put it all on the bags. And he said, hey, the average is 20, 25, 30%, I'll say 20%, I'm gonna have a waste reduction. He went to 50% waste reduction and he put all his money on the bags. So they had to have the taxes do that to shore up the contract. We always say fixed cost, the guy going down the road needs to be covered by fixed revenue. So that's either taxes or a flat fee. So that will always have to have there somewhere.
They can match it.
So, no offense, but I can cut our fees in half just by looking at the numbers that are here. Because there's 2 of us that are only 2 people. He's himself and his wife, myself and my wife. That's 1 bag a week for each of us. There's no way, there's 3. So there's 3 bags a week, or 4. 4 bags a week. Now 1, 5, now 6. Now 1 multifamily outdoes all of us, but we're gonna get taxed. The implication of taxes is gonna affect us. We're paying the difference. And then on top of that, so it's a contract. So all these programs start up with a grant. Just like everything else we do around here, we start with a grant. But when the grant runs out like normal, then who's left, you know, holding that cup of water? All of us taxpayers. We're all stuck holding it, and then the taxes go up again.
We're a free agent again.
I want to share just something. I keep on sharing this to every person that's running for office. I don't like New York taxes, but my dad was in New York, and the tax bill was the best transparent tax bill I've ever seen. And I recommended, I used to hand it out to people, and I'm like, I would like this. It shows me the itemized contract of the town, of the whole contract, and then what my dad's bill was $12,000, which was crazy for this size room property. And what is thing? And then you're saying for the roads, for the school, for the thing, I was paying $500 for the trash bill. So it was kind of nice to see that breakout, you know, to have that transparency. But the bills have to be paid. So that's what this discussion will be, is how you cut that. And it can be giving 50 free bags. It can be moving the carts around so that you only have a 35-gallon cart a week, and then everybody just has 35 gallons, so it doesn't matter if you're a multifamily or not, everybody just has 35.
But it shouldn't be cut by single-family homes like it is for every other single thing in town. We've always taken the hit in the single-family homes.
Unless there's some kind of an incentive program
Correct.
for those who are getting yeah, I mean, I do get it. And as a landlord, I do understand it too, actually, and so.
And so that's something you can discuss here, of how multifamilies get, so we have some fees that are 1 family, fees for 2 families, fees for 3 families, fees for 4. So there are those types of things if you wanted to do that kind of breakup. But that's something to be done in the committee, not this. This-
On the subject you were talking about.
Town
I
manager
did-
had his hand up.
I had, the average single-family home is very available through the assessor's office. Actually, I took it off of the town manager's, presentation. The average single-family, and I broke this down into daily. The average single-family owner opens his eyes in the morning and owes $11.85 to the city. Okay? Now, I couldn't easily find a two-family, an average two-family number, so all I did was I took the single-family and I added 20% to it. I think that's a very conservative number. That two-family owner wakes up in the morning and owes $14.50. But does he? No, because it's a two-family. So technically, if that tenant is paying $425 or something a month, that two-family owner wakes up owing nothing because his tenant is paying his. And as I went down the list, I went and I took the two-family, I added another 20% to the value, looked at its tax bill across the line, and the same thing happens. Because as you go three-family, four-family, five-family, and you start to actually break it up into the households, it gets even better. It gets to the point where the landlord's not only not owing any money, he's, you know, the tenants are paying for his taxes and anything else he wants them paid.
Mr. McCall?
So, I'm sorry.
That's okay, thank
So,
you.
one of the towns I worked for before, they did not use pay-as-you-throw, but they stuck strictly with curbside. And by law, they limited curbside to 3 families or less. So they forced all the 4, 5, and 6 families to get their own dumpsters. Can you do anything like that with pay-as-you-throw? Because I'm not sure how you could do that, because anybody could buy a bag anywhere, right?
Right, or be given a bag, yeah.
Right.
So multifamilies, I would strongly recommend, I love that you guys have up to the 6 families. And the, when you have a dumpster and moving those families to dumpsters and to a thing, is then the Board of Health will deal with a lot of non-pickup. You know, people moving, the landlord the tenant moving, the landlord not wanting to pay, the
Well,
tenants
how about
emptying.
illegal dumping? You're gonna get a lot of people that then are just gonna go private and then go and dump things like they do now in
That's what we have,
dumpsters.
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I think there's a lot of variables.
And also it's a lot more containers, so it's also another health issue like other cities have, is like, we don't want more dumpsters because of animals. You know, those types of things. So there's other things, so it's really nice to have a town program where you can get it. I did like Milford's program. They did a really nice, Board of Health gave a letter to all the multifamilies and just gave that information. It's just like, by law, we only can do 3 families. We're choosing to do 6. You need to have it clean, you need to follow the rules, you need to make sure your tenants think, and you need to recycle. If you have any questions and if there's contaminations, we can choose not to pick you up. And so that is a very, that impacted their town greatly of keeping things clean, just by that letter. I don't know if he does it every year, but.
Yeah. Your technical support, your 80 hours, how many different variables are there in like your presentation once you're done with the 80 hours?
Well, it really comes out to, I'm assisting, you already have some presentations that are already done, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, we don't have to do a lot of things. I think we just want to hammer down some of the numbers and make sure that the committee likes, you know, part A of what's going to be in the contract with the RFP, and then part B is just what is the resident and the town's relationships going to be.
Yeah, because I worry a lot about illegal dumping. I worry a lot about littering, because I mean, there's already these types of issues already, and so so I'm very, very interested. Even though the margins say that, like that's very little, but I mean, now when you're thinking about the overall scheme of things, there's going to be a lot of different areas that are populated differently within our town that I could just see a lot of, like just misbehaviors going on.
Mr. Marquette?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chairman, through you. thank you for coming tonight, and I appreciated you coming out. Talk to me a little bit about how this program will work. Because my concern was, you buy these bags, but we still have to have recycling. We don't have a transfer station. We do, it's run by Casella, it's a private transfer station. So we wouldn't have recycle, but as you explained it out in the hall, you explained it very well, I thought. The town would contract for curbside garbage collection and recycling. The other issue, then the other step would how to pay for it. So the residents, your plan would be for the residents to purchase these bags. That would be help to offset the cost of the curbside pickup. There will be some left over because it's not gonna cover the entire amount, but that would reduce it a lot from the 1.8 million that we've been talking about for our trash pickup. So I don't have a problem with pay-as-you-throw, but I would like to see some more information about the program, the nuts and the bolts of how this would work. So I would highly recommend that if you're going to bring her in, to please consider bringing her in.
Gus was holding it for, go ahead, Gus.
Thanks. You kind of touched on this issue, but I was wondering, are there any cases of actually basing the fees on the basing these fees on the number of bedrooms specifically, as opposed to size of
So,
the family?
the only one that I ever known that is done it by, did we do that in, I wanna say we did that in Fitchburg, but I don't think it's an official cost, so it's still on the tax base. It's really just how many containers we gave, so you already have containers, so there is not that kind of thing, is like we were giving one per household and you had 6 units, and so we ended up in Fitchburg that some households were getting 6 containers, and then the front of their thing did not fit 6 containers and 6 recycling bins. And so then we kind of calculated and say, you're getting 2, and if you need more, come and see us.
And what's considered a bedroom then? You know, like now we have to get into all these logistics. Did the town approve another, this could be a bedroom and this?
And then with COVID issues, I think I even had the fire department come over and just ask. It's like, well, Grandma's sitting there because COVID, she's not allowed to go home. What do you want me to put her?
You're saying though, legally, as far as the town has the freedom to set its own base charge if we went that route, and they could make the base charge arbitrary number. $10 for a single family, $20 for a 3-family, $30 for a. They could do something on that model. They have the freedom.
Absolutely, yes. No, this is all here.
If it's a 9-family, you pay 9 times the base charge type thing.
Yeah, you can decide any time of how this pie is going to do. Note that this gets a little compromised. You're going to have a town contract. This is the pie. This is the cost. He's saying $1.8 million. We're just putting it here and discussing how to cut the pie. I know sometimes it takes a year to discuss how we're cutting the pie, but it's just the same pie. Either we're paying it all at once. We're trying to make it fair. If you put out 1 bag and you put out 10 bags, you're gonna pay.
I just want to make a quick comment, just, maybe I heard Councilor Marquetti wrong. You just clarified it. You're still gonna have a contract for $1.8 million. It's how you pay for it.
Right.
So you taxes, enterprise funds, bags, tickets, whatever it may be, you still have that contract that you've got to fulfill. That's why my concern was how much I've seen a lot of towns go into debt and have to come up with a couple $100,000 to pay for it.
And I think sometimes
And obviously maybe
town treasurers like to look at a number and say this is the debt, but like I had in one community, this is how we formed it. It was formed, taxes pay this portion of it, bags pay this portion of it. And every 3 to 5 years, you should look at the prices and reevaluate. I was saying the city of Worcester waited 25 years to update the 75 cents bag. When a cup of coffee is $3, I think you could go up. I had in the town of Spencer, we had the same discussion, and the 90-year-old goes, I can pay the buck. It's okay. I can pay it. And they were like, no, we got to wait and still have discussion. It's like, it's been 10 years. We can up the price. And every 3 to 5 years, you should up the price.
Can I continue with my question?
Yeah.
Or a question, Madam Chair?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, so what I'm reading, a lot of stuff is that it's disproportionate to lower income. That when it comes to, it is harder on them on pay-as-you-throw than it would be to an affluent family, maybe a financially affluent family, compared to somebody that's not, or a family that's not. So it's harder on them to pay for $2 for a bag, $5 a bag, whatever it may be, so is that true?
Well, it depends on the situation. So one of the situation I gave is my personal is I had 10 people in the house and I just had put out 2 containers. So it would be the equivalent of what you guys have, 64 gallons. The friends that they only put out 1 bag and they have lots of foster kids. If you are actually feeding more people, you actually recycle. It's mostly recyclables and stuff you're cooking. You're not eating out a lot. You really don't have as much trash because you're not buying as much because our budgets are a lot tighter. So a lot of times people say the multifamilies, you know, if you have bigger families, then you're going to have problems with costs. We have ways to get around this is that we can give out 50 free bags. It can be part of the things. 50 free bags. It could also be a hardship. We can say if you're in this situation, if you're getting free lunch, I don't know, I think right now everybody's getting free lunch in the entire Massachusetts. But if you're under this category, you can get 50 free bags. You know, we can discuss how to cut this in a way. You can also say, you have a 64 gallon cart right now. It's being picked up. We'll pick it up every other week is an option. So everybody gets 35 gallons for everybody. Everybody has 35 gallons of trash. If you need that next week or you need more trash, you pay per bag. So there is that kind of option as well.
I think if you give anything for free, you've completely derailed your speech, which is if somebody has to pay for something, then they're going to take a little bit more pride in doing it. So if you're going to give 50 free bags away from a specific group of people, and I was low income, I grew up in Brookside Terrace, South Village in the 80s, so at that point in time, it didn't get any lower than that. But you give something for free too long, and, you know, it's like anything else. You know, it becomes, you're expected to have it. My other question is, as a landlord, if you have a tenant that decides to not buy the bags and they just leave them out, what happens to the landlord? I guess it's more of a Board of Health. Like, where does the responsibility lie? Because, you know, the landlord has a tenant renting, so it's their responsibility for their trash. But now, they're not buying a bag, so what's the landlord, you know, do? And it's not really for a landlord that lives in town, it's for a landlord that is out of town. What happens? And then, you know, now the DPW is on the hook to pick this trash up, to then find a home for it. Like, there certainly has to be some type of plan for that.
Oh, yeah. It's not black and white,
What do you see in Worcester for that sort of situation?
It's not black and
Is
white.
that something you see a lot of?
The city of Worcester is pretty much everybody has the yellow bag, so that it goes. I think it's ingrained since 1993, so it's pretty much a very uniform kind of thing. But I know Fitchburg has had different issues, even though it's just the containers like you guys. And if people don't get picked up, that they would get letters and things like that of you need to work out. But they give that container free, you know. So that kind of thing is yes, we can have the bags if people are in hardship.
Sure.
So.
Do you have a question?
Well, my question was the situation where I'm concerned as well with illegal dumping. I think one of the reasons, I've been involved with this since 1995, and one of the reasons I've always had difficulties with trying to get through to my Board of Health is the fact that we do live in a free-as-you-throw society, and we can't get people to reduce their trash. We can't get people to increase on their recycling because we can't get the incentive out there to do so.
So the best example, I mean, you've been there. You've had your own landfill. You had a contracted landfill. You got free curbside program. And I had this. I worked for a year or two with Town of Millbury. I got the incinerator. I get free trash. If I get the incinerator, I get free trash, and I'm putting out 20 bags of free trash every week, and you don't tell me what to do because I gotta live next to that. I get to put out trash. And so that is a mentality, and I can understand it because you think, but you also got paid. So note that you did get money because of the landfill. That did help the town budget. You did not have to pay what everybody else paid for curbside collection. Town of Millbury does get free collection and stuff like that.
Trust me, the money didn't come to me.
But you didn't pay what some people have to do if you're, you know, in Charlton paying $500, $600 every year for your regular trash pickup. you'd be a little
I
happy.
could sit down and discuss the subject with you for the 80 hours that
I
you could get.
Exactly.
Because I have sat here and I have discussed it with these people for the 80 hours.
And that's why I
over
think
the course
that
of
we're
the year.
talking about environmental impacts and personal responsibility. This program does all of it.
Who is first, Maureen or Gus? Which one?
I'll be quick.
Go ahead.
Where are the bags coming from?
So we have, it seems like you already had a vendor come here. We have on state contract different vendors. So it seemed like you had Waste Zero, which is predominant in the state, but there are others. They are made from recycled material. So one of the things they do remind us though is because they're made from recycled content, the color's not always going to be perfect. So be mindful of that. Some people like you pick a color and then it's not pink. It's a little off-sided pink because it is made from recycled plastic and somebody put a little black in there, so it's a little. So those kinds of things do happen.
So they're gonna rip?
On occasion, is they are by weight, but you have containers, so I don't find that you are going to have the problem with animals and bears, dogs and people leaving them out in the last minute. So you guys already have containers, so I don't think you will have breakage that some other towns would have. Gus?
Okay, thank you.
One thing I was curious about is, two questions. One is related to this. Do you have evidence of effectiveness of bags versus stickers?
So I love that example. I have a few towns that are still on stickers. They are mostly drop-offs, and then somebody is there and watches them. The town of Millbury is still on stickers. That's I think my only curbside. I think that's my only one left is Millbury, and they're in discussion to go to a cart. So hopefully, they're getting away from that because people are funny. They have their own printers at home. They have
We can't
they
model
rip
human
it.
behavior.
They rip
That's a whole
it.
other topic.
It is just nice, and it's just like, well, I have a kitchen bag, I have a grocery bag, I have a kitchen bag, I have a thing. So then they rip it and say that that's for that one, that's for that size. And so we really do have sizes if we wanted to have a kitchen bag size and a 33-gallon size bag. You could do that, but you guys already have carts. So I'd almost, for you guys, be just one size. I normally would have two sizes, but because you have carts, a senior could say, I'm really only going to put out a grocery bag, but then they can put that in there and just buy one bag and just have it as the liner of their trash bag, their container, and just fill it up, and then when it's full, bring it out. So you're in a better situation that I have. The town of Littleton actually has 4 size bags.
Well, I mean,
Because everyone's like, well, I want my size.
Right, that's why I asked about where are the bags coming from? Because, and I don't take those bags from the grocery store, but I have oodles of them. I'm almost buried in them because everybody gives you things in them or.
So you recycle. You can bring them back to the supermarket for recycling there, not at the curb.
Supposedly.
No, and that actually
They
becomes
actually do it.
okay. So recycling does happen in Massachusetts. It is by law, number one. So all the vendors have to do it. The second is that the companies, each company spends millions of dollars on processing and separating. And we have a MRF in Auburn, and you can watch the video. I think you have it online. You can go onto the town of Sturbridge, Southbridge website, and you can watch how the operation is, and it is really cool. They got new stuff too. And the bags, if you bring them back to the supermarket, actually become Trex lumber. And so they're, everybody's decks now, so it's really nice. I know this is very long.
the other question I had.
Any other questions?
No, I'm trying to cover everything
Another
up.
question.
Gus has a question.
It's kind of a.
We appreciate you though.
A longer stretch question. Is the state actively doing anything to close the loop locally for the collected materials? Or connecting with companies, say, in either Southbridge or immediate surrounding towns, so we can take the stuff that we're getting rid and it goes to them so that they can do something.
So we have some really good recycling companies in Massachusetts and in New England that do various things. So we have the mattress people that are actually processing mattresses here. We have paper things. We have glass that's in Rhode Island that does a lot of stuff that actually makes insulation. So there are different companies. Plastics are made into other plastics. They pelletize them. Some in Clinton, you know, there are little ones, there are big ones. They're all different sizes. Casella has contracts all over, and so some things go abroad. And I think they actually made a comment since 2019. Nothing is going abroad. I think everything is in the United States. So that's great of your contract that you have that.
I was thinking, in terms of, like, is there an effort for the DEP to reach out to the local companies and see what kind of, what they're getting for sources already, and how we can turn stuff that we are trying to recycle into their sources?
So I want to go probably EPR, like kind of if I can go to the smoking question that we had before of should the vendor take control over the stuff that they are selling to Massachusetts. So we have the Product Stewardship Institute in Massachusetts that has been working a lot with all different vendors on different things like batteries and propane tanks and mattresses and things like that. We have 2-3 legislations that have been on the town and the state legislature to say, hey, you buy, we already have for tires, but if you buy a mattress, if you buy a can of paint, you pay $1 more when you buy it, and then the company is going to be in charge of that. And so it is on there, but the legislature keeps on saying next year, next year, next year. So we actually have a Massachusetts version of Product Stewardship Institute that is meeting. I don't know if you saw that on Mass Recycle. It was just posted today. The town of Southbridge and the Board of Health here, or the town administrator and the town council can say we support. I don't know if you've done that in the past. They can have be a part of Mass Recycle's Product Stewardship Institute and give a letter, which is America Recycles Day is November 15th. It could be a very nice thing to have at the town council to say we support Product Stewardship Institute, Product Stewardship, EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility. If you made it, you take control of it. Why am I spending $1.8 million to dispose of packaging that the manufacturer and everybody else is creating, which they do not sell in other countries. They do not sell in Europe, but they sell to us.
Yeah.
So that is something that we have on the bills, but nobody's passing them. So why are we charging us and the resident? We already bought the item and now we're paying for disposing of it, and the town is paying for disposing of it, but the manufacturer got their revenue.
That's a great idea.
A point to be made
Oh, wait,
about
wait.
that.
Hold on, she had a question, go ahead.
Just a real quick question as far as using our containers and then having folks buy the bags. What do you do about people that put 2 white bags in and then the color bag in the
So
containers?
the contract that you'd have with your vendor, you would say, which is the town, and I would recommend that they talk with they have 2 of them. One in Massachusetts is Upton. Upton has this entire program just like that. There's a few others in Connecticut. The names are slipping my mind. I have 75 communities that I know. It's outside my border. I kind of know they exist, but I don't know exactly. I have it down somewhere. But because we were looking at this to do this type of program in Templeton, Princeton, and Hubbardston.
The container and the bags?
Yeah, because how to fund it. So that's what we were saying is just put the bags in the container. And that's how you're funding it, is that they pay per bag and then have helped
Right, but how
offset
would
the
you
cost.
know what's in the bag and
So with the contract that you have with the vendor, he has to have a camera, which he normally does anyway, because they don't want fires, so they don't want propane tanks in there, they don't want things, so they're checking if things get passed. So just to say, you pick a bright color so that he's able to see, and so that they can say, bump, bump, it's okay. And sometimes if it's on the side, they really see it right away. It depends on how, if it's just gonna be an arm, or if it's a flip, it depends on the vendor of the type of truck. If it's a flip, he can really see it right away. If he's staying in the truck, which a lot of them like to do, then it's fully automatic. Then it's gonna be on a camera, and then just write down the address, and that person's getting a view or a fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Our recyclable trucks are like that. When the recyclable trucks come to the house, I noticed that
It's automatic.
It's automatic, but gentleman who's driving is also looking too. In other words, as it's dumping,
Scan that.
he's like this, just looking to make sure.
Yeah, but like, he doesn't
Yeah.
want a fire in there if there's a little propane tank in there.
Yeah.
Because he crushes it, and then we've had quite a bit of, we're having issues with batteries now, and that's why we really need to make sure that people do not put household batteries, in their trash,
They do look,
especially
yeah, like you
lithium.
said. So one way or another, they're watching.
Sure.
Yeah. For batteries, put a piece of tape down and put them, the positive side on the tape, and then put them into the bins that you have around. You should have some, I think you have a bin in here for, is it the Board of Health? Or,
It hasn't been used much, but it's been.
but it's getting the word out, people need to put their batteries in there.
I'll
I bring
Can I
them,
do batteries and fluorescent light bulbs or just batteries?
I think you have fluorescent bulbs too?
No,
No?
no,
No,
we do not.
sorry.
You can take them to hazardous waste.
That's why.
Hazardous waste day. But you should also maybe have batteries too at hazardous waste day.
You can take the batteries to household. hazardous waste.
Lester is open for, maybe they're not taking this. I think she takes those things. Lester's open,
Lester takes.
everything, pretty much. Any other questions you got me?
I think we're all set. Thank you so much for coming before we,
Oh, no, Mike. So I think the question might need to be raised is like, is that where we're at? I just would put that out there. Like, because you had said earlier, you don't wanna kinda waste your time if the town
Correct.
isn't.
I
right?
think it's, you have to
So
apply
that's a
for the
question.
technical assistance
Right.
grant to go, to get any grant money. And to have me
Right.
spend, I can come out to 3 meetings without a grant. But we gotta get a grant if you're gonna have me come and play with all your fun numbers.
exactly.
Then, and my degree is, just so you know, I do have an accounting degree and environmental studies degree from Juniata.
That's awesome.
So, that is my degree, and which I love because I told everybody, this is where it is. You need to make the numbers work for environmental issues.
No, I think it's great, absolutely. Like, we really appreciate you coming out.
But do you need to
It's
take a
lot.
vote to have her apply for the technical assistance grant?
What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna,
The town council.
encourage a motion, if somebody wants to make a motion to table this, just because we're gonna meet next week. We're gonna meet with, you know, and Tony will be here, and, you know, everybody will be here, and we can, because it was a lot
Yeah.
to take in.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry? To postpone until next week, thank you. So we'll vote to postpone it until next week.
Can I get a motion?
September 15th.
I would
Make a
motion to
motion.
postpone it until next week.
Second motion?
Second.
Thank you so much, Irene.